I'm live. I'm on. What is up? Welcome to the Big Brown Brizache Down. Even though there's not a fight card this week, that doesn't matter. Don't let the name fool you. There will always be a show every goddamn week coming to you, not live, recorded from Playa Vista, California, Los Angeles. What's up, guys? A little sleepy, not gonna lie to you. And my ears right now, you know when you're flying in a plane and your ears won't pop and you blow out? My ears just feel like I'm underwater or I have the pressure in my ears. It's been like this for 3 days. So if I talk super loud, that's usually why. And last night was interesting because I don't know what to do. I can't get it to go away. Someone said put hot water in a cup, put your ear to a cup, makes it go away.
I never heard that one.
Definitely didn't help. Didn't do shit. And last night, I had I guess they call it a showcase at This Is Not Happening, Ari Shafir's show. And what they do is, I think there's 6 comics. They tell a story. The producer's there. If they like your story, that's when you go to TV. Joey Diaz was the host. And, yeah, it was great, man. Special night, especially when Joey Diaz is announcing stuff. And it went well. It went well. Got good feedback. And I think Joey Diaz might be making an appearance on the show. He called me up this morning and goes, first of all, he sent out a nice tweet after the show just saying, great job, something, Brendan's job.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so this morning I texted, went, hey, man, appreciate the kind words. It's really cool being sharing the stage with you last night. You're the best. Love you. And then if you know anything about Joey Diaz, he hates texting. He's old school. He doesn't like texting. He doesn't like that shit. So it's 10 in the morning. I don't know if he was up. I know he sleeps. I don't know, man. You know. And the reason why he's never on Fighting the Kid or he hasn't been on this show is he hates driving down because of traffic, stuff like that. So it's hard to get him to commit to any shows. So this morning he calls, and I'm like, God, I wonder why at 10 a.m. Why is he calling me at 10 a.m.? Maybe something's wrong. Answer, and he's like, cocksucker, enough with the goddamn texting. Would you quit with the text? I'm like, dude, I was just saying, like, thanks, man. I appreciate the support. And he had some nice words, and if he comes on the show, I'm sure he'll share it, but it meant a lot, man. So that was cool. But the thing, just these ears, I don't know how to get them to pop. Other than that, we got the Fighting the Kid great shoes coming out tomorrow. We've released, I think I shot 5 little commercials for him just to build up for the release of the shoes. They did a pre-order sign-up thing, Greats did. It's the most sign-ups they've ever had for a collab or release, so I'm sure they'll go quick. I tried telling them to make a ton of them, but, they do the Kanye West plan as well, where they do limited quantities.
Everyone, like a bunch of people hit me up on Instagram asking from different countries. Like,
different
do you
countries.
ship there? Do you ship here? Yeah.
I know they ship all over, but don't worry. For whatever reason, I'm not saying don't attempt to get them, but for a reason, if they do sell out, which they will, and you don't get a pair, we're already in the process of getting more different styles, stuff like that, so don't freak out on me. But I told them this was going to happen. But it's pretty cool, man. It's a feather in the cap when you get your own shoe coming out. So everything's good, man. Everything is good. Going through the escrow with the house, which is so stressful. Well, the only thing stressful about it is, you have to send them basically everything besides the dick pic. I mean, you literally have to send them everything. Everything, man. It's exhausting. It's crazy hard, how difficult and how many fucking hoops you have to jump through and just to get things done. It's crazy to me how difficult they make it. It's just part of the process. So dealing with that, and then we had a bunch of big guests lined up for the Big Brown Breakdown. It's pretty cool. People want to come on the show. So I always hate announcing who's coming on because you never know. You don't want to announce and then something happens where they cancel and people are like, oh, what the hell happened to Leonardo DiCaprio, bro? I'm like, well, fuck. He said he was going to come on. It's just shit came up. He got balls deep into, some ladies or something, decided to skip the show. So I never like announcing who's coming on, but we have some big guests lined up, and we have some weeks where there will be more than one Big Brown Breakdown because of the guests, just the way it works out. So stay tuned for that. Appreciate the support. You guys have made this show and telling a friend of a friend of a friend of a girlfriend of a UPS man of the guy who works at Starbucks, the barista. It's worked out, man. And also send positive vibes. Think of Brian Callen today. It's his first day on set shooting a spinoff. I sent him a lengthy text this morning. I just think it's his time, man. I told him to, it's your show, man. Act like you deserve to be there because you do. You've been in the business a long time, and this is your shot, and just take advantage of it and live in the moment and fucking grab this thing by the balls and run with it, man, because you never know what's going to come back around for him. So I just really, really hope it works out, man. Brian's so talented.
Oh, yeah, making it this far is huge in itself, right? Where Brian is
Yeah,
right
people
now.
always say that, right? Like, hey, just to even, be considered and have your spinoff, it's the pilot, but I know that's not good enough for Brian. It wouldn't be good enough for me. So I'm just, I've been thinking about him all day today, and I just really want it to go well. I hope that thing fucking takes off for him. Maybe it'll be like the next Frasier, just old as shit.
Dude, I love
You love Frasier?
Love it. Have you ever tried watching it?
I used to. I know my mom used to watch it. Interesting story about Frasier. My first real fight in the UFC was against a guy named Chase Gorman. I knocked out in, I don't know, a minute or some shit like that in Broomfield, Colorado. The first fight on Fuel. I think John Jones versus Brandon Vera was the headliner, was the main event. I found that card. Did work. A week later, the UFC called me, hey, we're releasing, this is EA Sports, we're releasing the new video game, Undisputed, I think it was called, UFC Undisputed. Forget the name of it. And we want you to fly to LA. It's going to be Dana, Matt Serra, Chuck Liddell, and yourself. It's at this big release party in New York City. I've never really been to New York. I'm like, what? And like, yeah, they want you to go. So I fly down there with my girlfriend at the time. She's a dime piece. This is, a while ago, man. They pay for her flight. We fly down there, and they put us up in this, nice hotel in New York, man. At the time, I didn't see anything like this. This is my first, big experience with the UFC. I couldn't believe I was in New York, and I was self-conscious because I'm around Matt Serra, Chuck Liddell, Dana White, and they're announcing everyone. I'm like, the people are like, who the fuck is this guy? So we're in the hotel, and I'm with my girlfriend. Like I said, she's an attractive-looking girl. I do all right in that department. And I go to the bathroom. Either the bathroom, I go to check into the room, and Fraser's there. I don't know his real name.
Kelsey Grammer.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
Not small.
Tall
and
dude, right?
He is just all up on my girl, man. Giving her the eyes, grabbing her. I'm like, hey, bro. Hey, brother. Dude. Yeah, it was weird. Ever since then, I'm like, hey, man, I get it.
He's known playboy, too.
Yeah, dude, he was, just... hungry hippo for my girl. I was like, dude, you gotta relax. This ain't the set of Frasier. I will slap the shit out of your big ass. Big dude.
Yeah.
Big dude.
He's got a really big, forehead or something.
Crown.
Too. Makes him look bigger.
Yes. Yeah, he a huge head. 6 times the size of mine. Probably has the chin of Mark Hunt and Roy Nelson combined.
You never know.
But yeah, that's my story about fucking Frasier, Kelsey Grammer. Just trying to fuck my girl on the side.
That's probably why you don't really want to get into that show then, huh? Because you'll probably like
it's also old, too.
It's timeless. It's one of those things that's timeless. You can watch it today. You can watch an episode today, and it's just funny. It's smart and funny.
Really? Yeah, I need to go back and watch it. A lot of those shows are like Friends. Did you ever watch Ellen? She was a beast, man.
I think I watched an episode or two, but
Ellen was great. They like all that stuff. Yeah. Seinfeld, you watch Seinfeld?
Seinfeld's awesome as well.
Do you know what's the funniest show? And I got into it probably, 3 months ago, and people were going to make fun of me. Family Guy.
Okay,
I never really got into it. It's so witty and fucking brilliant. Well done.
But I don't watch it either.
I don't either.
But brilliant.
I do now. The references that they make on there is just it's brilliant. It's so good. I literally just got into it. Now I hear Dave Chappelle's special is just ridiculous on Netflix.
I barely saw the promo for it on Netflix yesterday. You know how they put on the timeline or whatever?
Yeah.
So I just saw that. I didn't get to watch it yet, though.
No, I haven't got to watch it. I'm working all day yesterday, and my freaking son, you can't watch that stuff while he's around because you won't be able to see anything. And my 2 things I want to get done this week, besides work, obviously, but I want to watch Dave Chappelle's special, Bad, because everyone was DMing me and tweeting at me saying, he's back. This is the original Dave Chappelle. And then the other thing is, you guys know I'm into these cartoons and shit. That movie, Sing. You haven't seen it? You know what I'm talking about? Sing? It's like all these animals, almost like Zootopia style, but they all sing. And there's a bunch of guests. No. You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
But it's like a singing competition. Like this koala lines up basically like American Idol, and they all sing some funny shit, man. It looks ridiculous.
That's good to watch with your son, I guess, right?
No, he'll be asleep. Hell no. Hell no. I'll be in my bed in my undies, watching with my girl, man. Nice. I love that stuff. Yeah, Sing. It was a big movie. You guys never heard of it?
I can't believe I've never even heard of it.
Damn, Sing. Son. You need to line that. It's
I heard
hilarious.
It's Zootopia.
Yeah, Zootopia. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Dude, I recommend something for you, though. If you do watch movies this weekend, it's on Netflix. Are you cool with reading subtitles, though?
Yeah, if it's good.
Dude, it's good. Do you like zombie movies?
Yeah.
If you don't, or if you're not sure, I guarantee you like this one. It's called Train to Busan. It's a Korean movie on Netflix. It just came out.
Really?
Train to Busan.
Is it huge in Korea?
I think everyone, even people here, they love it.
It's called Train to Busan?
Train to Busan, yeah.
And is it like scary zombies?
It's fun, scary, adventurous, everything.
I dig that.
Yeah, you just check out the trailer.
Really, it's good?
Yeah, Train to Busan.
You love it.
I just saw the whole thing last night, so I loved it.
You watched it by yourself?
And my brother, when I was sleeping, of course.
Yeah.
2 nights in a row. Before I go to bed, I watched the first half the night before, and then the second half
How long is it?
Same as regular 2 hours, probably a little less than 2 hours.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Lovely, man. Well, we got the one and only, one of the greatest fighters ever walked this earth, and one hell of a personality, Bas Rutten, coming on the show today. And me and him have been texting back and forth for a while now. He's one of my favorites, so he'll be joining us a little later. But for now, let's jump on into these, what should we call these? MMA events, MMA headlines, UFC MMA headlines? It's not all UFC.
Yeah, so when we write it down in the description, we usually say breaking MMA events.
Breaking fight news.
Fight news, yeah. Fight news.
Fight news.
Fight news is good. So the first fight news is Conor McGregor's. He was fined that one crazy amount that one time when he was throwing bottles.
Yeah,
at Nate Diaz.
Yeah, that was the Nate, and he was throwing them at Jake Shields and their crew.
Yeah, their crew.
The Scrap Pack.
The Scrap Pack, and the NAC fined him $150,000 and 50 hours of community service. That later got dropped to 50,000 and 50 hours, and now. Remember, Conor went to meet up with the guys from NAC?
Yeah.
After that, they did a rehearing, and they dropped it down to $25,000 fine and 25 hours of community service.
Pussies. Like, how funny is it that at first, like, listen, you're charged $150,000. It's just the good old boys club. Like how can we fuck Conor McGregor? $150,000, 70 million years of community service, and you got to shoot a commercial for us.
The commercial.
Remember the commercial thing? Like, we need an anti-bullying commercial for you that you're going to record, and then we're going to air in Las Vegas. Conor McGregor's people are like, bitch, what? You know how expensive it is to shoot a commercial with Conor McGregor? The fuck is wrong with you, silly good old boys club? So the commission, this just shows you, this is why no one takes them serious. They're like a kid who lashes out and they're all emotional, and then when they sit there and think about it, because they're not mature yet, they go, oh my God, what did I do? This is what they do. This is what the Nevada State Commission does. A lot of commission, but none worse than Nevada. They freak out and they go, $150,000 and you're shooting a commercial. And everyone's kind of like, you really don't have that power. Like, we really don't respect what you do. We're not happening. Also, Conor's one of the guys go, cool, you want to do that? I will never fight in Vegas again. I'm the biggest draw. So this is going to cost you hundreds of millions of dollars. Go fuck yourself. And then you go, God, he's right. Let's get back together, boys. What do you think? He goes, well, I mean, we could just do like 25,000. I like the guy. What about the commercial? We can't afford it. Yeah, that was kind of a ridiculous demand. So 25,000, I get even that, but because again, and I always believe this, when incidents happen like this, I don't encourage them, but when incidents happen like this, it hypes the pay-per-view even more, which benefits the UFC. The UFC should pay all these fines. It doesn't benefit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it benefits Conor McGregor's pocket, the more pay-per-views, but it also builds the promotion. So maybe, you know, it shouldn't all be on the UFC. It should be half and half. Conor pays for half, UFC pays for half.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It shouldn't all come out of Conor's paycheck. The UFC should front a lot of these fines, at least half, I would say. But the Nevada Athletic Commission, no one takes them serious.
It's going to be weird, though, because it is sort of saying, like, well, we'll just go ahead and do it. But
dude, 150,000 to 25,000?
That's a crazy jump.
How silly is that?
And they fired that Pat Lundvall, too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Remember? That was crazy. So
it's ridiculous.
They did realize it was ridiculous and fired the person that really wanted it to
like,
happen.
what the fuck are you talking about? No one's going to fight here, man. We keep doing this random shit. You find one guy, you suspend Wanderlei for life. And so the guy 150,000, and he has to shoot a commercial. The fuck are you guys doing? That makes 0 sense. 0 cents. What else you got, brother?
All right, the next one is Bellator, Chael Sonnen versus Vanderlei.
Sonnen versus Silva, Vanderlei Silva. Madison Square Garden. Listen, I think, Bellator is making some right moves here. It's the fight that was set up before, and remember they were coaches on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah. I wanted to watch it so bad after that, too.
Me too. How bad did you want to see that fight? And Wanderlei got screwed over more than anyone out of that whole Nevada State Commission thing. Again, no one takes him serious. Like he's headlining a fight now in New York City at Madison Square Garden. Doesn't get much bigger. What I would like for the UFC to do on this, Bellator to do on this, if you're going to make it a pay-per-view, the way you go against the UFC is if you're going to do pay-per-views and you don't do a lot of them, let's say they do twice a year, you need to pack these things like the Super Bowl, like the UFC used to do. So you have Sonnen, Wanderlei as your headliner. You have Matt versus Fedor as your co-main event. You have Phil Davis, Ryan Bader. You have, depending on what happens in that London card with Rory McDonald and those guys, you have Michael Venom Page on there. You try to, maybe if Rory McDonald does work, you have Rory McDonald. You need to make this thing such a special event that your numbers do really, really well and you get so much respect in the MMA community where people go, dude, the UFC's kind of putting on these bullshit watered down cards a little here and there. Now the Dallas card, I think it's UFC 210 or 211, is fucking stacked, which is great, which is what we used to love about the UFC. So Bellator needs to do that. Stack this card, man. Stack it with everyone you can. That's what I would do if I was Scott Coker.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like that's what they're doing.
It does seem like it.
And then the undercard you put free on Spike and you line up with all your young, hungry bucks. So they're really entertaining fights.
Yeah. So people can get to know them too.
Yes.
But I was going to say, like, this is a pay-per-view. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, why are they doing a pay-per-view? But then, yeah, we're going to talk about it too. The Fedor versus Mitrione is going to be on that card. And now they want to get Bader and Phil Davis possibly. So it's looking like a cool thing that I would want to buy now.
I'm obviously going to buy it. I'm balls deep in MMA. And, I just think if you're gonna do it, especially Bellator, you're competing with these other pay-per-view sharks. You got boxing now with HBO and Showtime, and then you got the UFC. Make sure it's a special event. Otherwise, it's really gonna hurt your numbers. If your pay-per-view doesn't do well, it's a huge black eye. But this is the opportunity to really grab this pay-per-view business by the horns, man, and do work. The scary thing to me is them fighting in New York with Rashad having issues there. Just the way they've dealt with the commission there with,
like them actually fighting, being able to fight.
Yeah, a little bit of that stuff. And you have these older guys in Chael Sonnen, Wanderlei Silva, Fedor. You got Mitrione with the kidney stones. Like the chances card surviving and being 100%. I have super skeptical hippo eyes on this. I hope it does. Yeah. But fighting New York, I hope it works. Did they say when?
June 24th or July 24th? Yeah, June 24th.
Nice, man.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, just these two cards alone would be great. Him and
Fedor and Matt. And for Matt and Fedor, it worked out even better because now it's you can get more eyeballs. Madison Square Garden, it's it's the most epic place to fight. It used to be MGM. Now it would be there. MGM used to be kind of in Las Vegas was kind of the creme de la creme. There in Mandalay Bay, and it doesn't get much bigger than New York. Madison Square Garden, so.
Indeed. All right, you want to jump to this one that you've seen this around already, how Dana White was on Conan's show. And he finally, instead of saying like, it's far from happening, he's kind of like, it's definitely, I believe it will happen, and I can't see how it couldn't because of all the money involved and how big it could be.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, if he's going to go out and say that, it still can't be some sort of weird marketing thing for UFC and Mayweather, right? This is probably really believing it.
Yeah, it'd be such a letdown if we find out that, Dana, Conor, and Floyd, they're this, and then, they're hyping this fight, and this is the fight we want to see, and then like, Conor's fighting Tony Ferguson now. Sorry, that's not happening. Everyone's like, what the fuck? I think it would affect the numbers, to be honest with you. you can dangle that carrot as much as you want, but you better make sure eventually the horse gets the carrot or they stop chasing that thing. So I think, Dana White has said a lot of stuff. A lot of it we can believe, a lot of it we can't, but I don't think he'd go on Conan if it didn't have legs, Like he's gone there for a reason. What else? Why else would Dana go on Conan? To promote what?
Yeah.
Name what they can promote right now. I'm all ears. Why would he have his PR team line up a show like Conan O'Brien besides to hype Floyd Mayweather Conor?
It's weird. I didn't think of that either.
Name what? Were you gonna fucking pitch a Stipe Junior Dos Santos on Conan? The audience doesn't know who that is. What is she gonna do? Brock Lesnar come back? Nope. That'd be the only other reason you're here. It's either Brock, Conor, or Ronda. Well, Ronda's retired, making movies. Brock's in the WWE. So you're talking about Conor. It's the only thing anyone gives a fuck about Conor right now. Conor Mayweather. Any other fight, we're not entertained.
Very true.
No one wants to entertain any other fight. So I think it's good he's going on there. I also think it's good that Dana wants to be part of it. And I think he's not standing in the way. So if you think you're hated now, not that I'm saying he gets a lot. He does get a lot of hate. Anyone in that position gets a lot of hate, good or bad. But if you make this fight, if you're the reason why this fight doesn't come to fruition, you're gonna have some real problems. I don't think he is, though. I think as long as everyone works together and want the same thing, and this is by far the biggest money fight they can make in the history of the UFC, of course Dana wants to be part of that. I think it's all good, man.
Absolutely. On this same interview, too, he was talking about incident that happened with him and Tito. So he was saying that, I guess during the time when Tito was still fighting for them in the early days, they were all on a plane together, a private jet, him and the Fertitta brothers and Tito. And Tito was kind of messing around with him, put him in a neck crank, and didn't let go. Dana was tapping, and he wouldn't let go. So Dana says he started punching Tito to the ribs, and they got in this real, actual fist fight in the plane, and then the Fertitta brothers had to jump in to break it up. He says this, and then Tito immediately responded by saying, like, no, I hit him to the point where he was crying. I made him cry, and then they broke it up.
Here's the hilarious thing to me. Now remember, these are all grown men, all millionaires, some billionaires
so far
on the
past
plane.
when it happened too.
Yeah. So think about on a private jet, you have 2 billionaires in the Fertittas. You have a gigillionaire in Dana White, and Tito Ortiz is doing the damn thing, millionaire. Now at the time, probably top 3 best fighters on the planet. And someone, either Dana or Tito, is lying. How funny is that? Someone's bullshitting. How ridiculous is that about a fight? Now, what do I think happened? I think they were messing around. I think Tito, was bullying Dana, and Dana probably got his feelings hurt. He got a little bit manhandled, so then he probably reacted to Tito and punched him in the ribs or something. But do you know what would happen if Tito Ortiz got serious with a guy like Dana White? Is not trained in the least bit. Dana White was a cardio kickboxing coach. He has no fight background. He might have had some of his, stable of fighters teach him some jiu-jitsu. He's not, you know how skilled Tito Ortiz is? Like, people don't understand, man. Like, if you watch those animal attackers, like, oh my God, see that fucking tiger grab that grown man by the back of the neck? If there were more videos of professional fighters manhandling your average Joe, that's exactly how your reaction would be. Yeah. Skilled Tito, how strong Tito is, man? He's a freak, especially at that time.
Yeah, and Dana was way, way smaller back then.
Way smaller.
Way smaller.
I get that. Like, they're probably joking around, and you have one guy's story, you have the other guy's story, but if it actually came down to it, no, what are we talking about? It's hilarious, though.
The thing about this what was weird to me is that even when Tito was here, he would mention how, he wished that things weren't that way with him and Dana anymore. He wants to, come back together. But when things like this happen, he immediately responds like, I made him cry.
I know.
So it's kind of, I don't know.
What's weird is I don't know how it even got brought up. Like, Dana brought it up?
He brought it up on Conan's show out of nowhere. Oh, actually, I think Conan mentioned it, but I'm sure there's a pre-thing that happens where...
There's always a pre... You know exactly the question they're going to ask. So, and you can say, hey, ask me this or bring this up because it lobbies it up so you can slam dunk it and start talking about it. But, I mean, listen, what else... Again, and I'm not hating on Dana, but when he goes on Conan... What else is he going to talk about? What else why would we tune in? Okay, if you better talk about Conor Mayweather, and then what else you got?
These are the ones that made
What else you got? What else you got? You can go back to tell us a story of 10 years ago, the time you had a scuffle with Tito Ortiz on a plane.
Yeah.
All right. Again, why was he there? That's not a headline, really. For MMA Junkie, it is. For the rest of the world, no one really gives a shit.
The rest of the world was Mayweather. Happening.
It's the only reason he went on.
Hell yeah.
That's how you know it has legs. What else you got, brother?
I love it. All right, this one is Lorenz Larkin actually officially went to Bellator. He had this like thing on Bellator's Twitter too, where he's fighting in their shirt, turns around, he goes, this is my new home.
That's cool, man.
It's really cool. And he says one of the biggest reasons why he signed with them is because he felt like the UFC. He tried to work with the UFC to make him a bigger star and even to keep him, everything else. But they were just kind of like, well, here's your price, you take it or leave it. And then he was just like, I don't want to deal with that. Scott Coker was amazing to him. Yep. Gave him a great deal. So he was like, these people actually care about me as a fighter. Whereas the UFC didn't.
We've talked about Lorenz Larkin. Even Rogan and I were talking. When he signed, I text Rogan and I went, hey, Larkin's with the Bellator. And Rogan just goes, fuck. Because it's a big loss, man. Larkin is a super talented guy, and he's fun to watch, and he's beat some of the best. Masvidal, who's hot right now, Larkin did work on that dude. Like it was a good fight, but Larkin's a beast, man. He's really, really good. He's a young dude. He's exciting to watch. And, we've talked about on the show before, the UFC is this giant Titanic, and there's these cracks in the boat, man. There's cracks in the boat, and eventually it sinks that bitch. It's stuff like this where a guy goes, they just didn't care. Like, they didn't give a fuck. And he mentions how long it took to even get a response. And then, 2 weeks before, here you go, we'll do this. Dude, you're talking about a guy, a super talented guy he's ranked in the top 10, correct?
Last time I checked, he was. Even
was he top? Let's say top 15, top 10. You treat him like that, this is going to catch up with you, man. You just can't pay attention to the George St. Pierre's and the Conor McGregor's of the world, because granted they give you a lot of your pay-per-view rankings, but the majority of the guys are like Lorenz Larkins, man. And when you start fucking guys over like that, it goes down. Shit rolls downhill, man. They probably already took him off the rankings. Already. He was top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
It's just not a good sign to me. It shows that the UFC's not they're not being detailed oriented. Does that make sense? Like they're not. They're so focused on this and making sure that they get this nut covered, this big debt that they have, and they're forgetting what got them to the dance, man.
He's the one that ended Neil Magny's reign too, and that one crazy streak he was on.
Yeah, Neil Magny's a tough customer. It just this stuff starts to add up, man, and you see Bellator just taking advantage, and for a mixed martial artist, remember, it's martial arts. Respect is everything. So when you feel like this organization that you fight for, that you live for, doesn't give a fuck, the guys, they have other options now. Bellator's doing a pay-per-view in Madison Square Garden. That's pretty good negotiating power. And Lorenz Larkin's only 30?
30, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's trouble. I'm telling you, it's trouble, man. They're not paying attention. You can also see by their social media. I snapshot, and I won't say who I sent to. I snapshot one of their post when the UFC London card was happening, and it was so lame. It was so lame, and just I don't know who's dealing with it. Not someone familiar with the UFC, not someone that knows the sport, not someone who started in this game. Some of the posts, I'm like, oh my god, man! It's like someone went from doing promotional for Fast and Furious 8, and now they're doing promotion for the UFC. These tweets are so amateur hour. It's so JV. And that's their thing. The UFC has always been a beast at social media. Shonda, who they let go, that was her thing, man. She grew that company. Look at the stats. And when she wasn't there, when she was there, and as she took over, they're insane, man. They're like, oh, we're good. We don't need that. No. Cut everything you want to cut. Don't cut out on that, man. On social media, that's what made you guys the UFC. The interaction, the direct interaction with the fans is everything. You see some of these posts, man, I hate to see that stuff.
I wonder what happened to Shonda then. If she went into like something outside of fighting or something for social media.
She's starting her own business.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep, starting her own business. Smart gal.
All right, next is another person unhappy with UFC. And I just found this out. I didn't even know this happened. But Michael McDonald, he asked for his release, and he already had a few fights left on his contract, and they just gave it to him. And
wow, that's unheard of.
And in this article, he says how they basically did not want to work with him. They were dishonest, and he even writes down that they try to cut his head off.
So there's a common theme here. Again, you're dealing with martial artists where respect is everything. This guy says the UFC was dishonest in the way he tried to do in the way they tried to do business with me, and it's resulted in complete waste of my time. I want to feel like my employer isn't out trying to cut my head off. I don't know what that's referring to. I want to enter a mutually respectable business contract with another fight organization. So Bellator.
Most likely, right?
Yeah, but he's been on and off. You know, this isn't as big as a loss as Lorenz Larkin's because he's been hot and cold. Remember, he came on as a fucking heat seeker where, you know, he's come from WC, and then he won, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in a row, and then he hit a bit of a rough patch. Then he lost, he had that big fight with Uriah Faber, lost that one. So, you know, and then took 3 years off.
Jeez.
3 years, and then, you know, had that fight won. They got murked by Lineker. So it's you know, he's a guy who's super talented, and he had the UFC by the balls a little bit there and was a hot prospect, but he's kind of fallen off. But still, it's still a well-known guy. You know, he's had a bunch of fight of the nights, knock of the night, submission of the night, performance of the nights. So people do enjoy watching this guy fight, but it's another common theme. No respect, man. They paid no attention to me, didn't give a fuck. It's going to keep on happening. And I wonder what the mentality is within the UFC right now. I'm not hating on, everyone thinks I'm hating. I'm not hating on the UFC, but when you see stuff like this, like something has to change. Someone, you would think like, dude, we at least have to have some sort of relations department that's dealing with the fighter direct, so we just don't overlook these guys because they're getting pissed and they're leaving because of it. Now you might think you're the only show in town, you're the only casino in town. We have to play your games. That's fair. I can see an argument for that. But there's this new casino open up across the street. They're way nicer, man. Better odds. They're making some pretty cool moves. They just got a new game, and it's actually in Madison Square Garden. You know, so, and there's a lot of guys going over there for financial benefits. Might be something to pay attention to. I just want to ignore all this if I'm the UFC. You know, like there's a lot of times, you know, there's public outcry, but when it's your actual employees saying, dude, this sucks, man. I left because of this. You probably need to acknowledge it. Now that you're going to get pressure from the outside because that's fucked up. You shouldn't treat fighters this way. The pay, all that. You can hear that noise, but you're really not going to address it until the actual employees are going, hey, man, what's going on here? They need to address it. Like, let's say you two, Agent A, Chin, and then Brian were like, hey, man, you're miserable to work for. You're a dick. You're always mean to us. The pay fucking sucks. We're out of here, man. And I'm just like, it's all good. It's not me, it's them. Well, no. We deal with each other on a daily basis. It's probably something I need to address. Now, if the fans outside are going, hey, you're mean to Kay, you're mean to Agent A, you're mean to Chin, you're mean to Brian. It's like they really don't know the dynamic. So granted, I know I get that. I see from your angle, but we're really not going to change because we don't have to. But if it's from within your own family, which these guys, the UFC, that's your family, man, you should probably at least acknowledge that you have a problem. Because this is a common theme. It's been going around for years. Just now, it's never been louder because guys have an actual legit option to go somewhere else. Why ignore it? I don't know.
It is weird, too, because I remember back not even that long ago, maybe a few years ago, when people try to leave, there would be a huge headache, right?
They won't let you go.
Lawsuits, everything, yeah. And now it's kind of like the UFC's going, boom, here you go.
Oh, you know what? But only because these guys don't pull in pay-per-view numbers or ratings. I love both these guys. They're both insanely talented, especially Lorenz Larkin. But he's not a main eventer right now. He's just not. Does he have the talent? Yes. He's one of the best 170-pounders in the world. But he's not a draw. So they're going, it's all good. Doesn't affect our ratings. Won't help us pay this debt off. So forget him. What about CM Punk? Someone call him. CM Punk, and it's not CM Punk's fault. I'm not bashing on CM Punk. CM Punk, if he calls the UFC office, they answer. If Lorenz Larkin calls the UFC offer, he gets no answer. It's business. I'm not saying it's the right way, but that's what's going on.
It's like what DJ Mighty Mouse said. He was saying that if that girl, the Cash Me Outside girl, you know, that everyone's making.
Dude, I saw her I was at
What?
CA, at a meeting at CA.
She's at CA.
I'm waiting. Hold on.
Oh my
Hold
God.
up. She's not an employee yet. She's not a talent of them. I'm at CA waiting in the lobby for my car, and she walks in with security. She's tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny. And I was like, no way. What are they doing? Heard she's making bank off of pants and stuff.
I think DJ is the one that pointed out she has like over almost 2 million followers on her social media. And he was like, if you put gloves on her and bring her to the octagon, I guarantee you that sells more pay-per-views than everyone. That's just the way that, you know.
That's the world we live in. Well, she got famous from what'd she get famous? She was on Dr. Phil.
She was on Dr. Phil, and she said these two things. I think it was two things that made her.
Why was she
famous.
on there though?
I think she's just like a terrible kid. Probably like doing a lot of. I didn't even watch the episode.
Terrible kid.
Terrible kid. Her mom was pissed off at her. All sorts of stuff. From what I remember, because I didn't really pay attention to it. I just know that a lot of people put these like music videos together.
Yeah.
She said, "Cash Me Outside," and "How About That," and they just remixed it over and over.
But Catch Me Outside, like, what do you mean? Like,
Cash Me Outside. You want to talk smack? Cash Me Outside. Cash Me Outside.
That's hilarious.
And then she
Dude,
goes, "How about that?"
I mean, you're way bigger than her age. She's tiny. No ass either. Zero ass. Because I don't even know what she's from, but I see these meme stuff. I'm like, oh shit, that's the girl from
Cash Me Outside.
Whatever, World Star.
No one even knows her name. I don't
have
think
no
people
idea.
know her name.
She's making bank though. Cash Me Outside.
Big time bank.
She was saying how I forget what she was on. I forget what show she was on. I know she tried going on Breakfast Club, and Charlamagne, who I love, Charlamagne he posted that her publicist was like, hey, she's getting all these hits, and she looked on his show, and he just put no. And I heard her on a radio show talking about how she hates that people say that she's trying to act black. She's like, how can I act an ethnicity? I act ghetto. That's not an ethnicity. I act ghetto. I talk like I'm from the hood. Like, I don't know her background. Like, look this little girl up, and it's memorable. How old is she?
I think she's a little kid, maybe like 15 or 16.
Well, now I feel creepy saying she had no ass. I thought she was in her 20s. I apologize, all the listeners.
Well, no one knows anything about her other than her catchphrases. No one knows anything about her.
Catch me outside.
Cash Me Outside. How about that? How about that?
Dude, and she's just this little thing.
Yeah.
Making bank. How do you parlay that? I guess give her a show?
I guess she's smart enough to know what she's doing now. She's at CAA. I mean,
someone took a meeting with her.
Yeah, so she's
it's embarrassing to say because that's my representation, but I don't know, man. But there's things like this, like Honey Boo Boo. You know, Honey Boo Boo's. Yeah, she's not cute anymore. Like she was like this cute little like Porky the Pig thing. She was like kind of ghetto, and she like had this little gut, and you're like, oh my god, she's cute, and she's like this little redneck, ghetto redneck. Like that was cute. That bitch is a teenager now. That story does not end well. Like it's not cute anymore. But her mom, she has a show now where it's like from redneck to hot neck or some shit. That's not the title. Would be hilarious if it is from redneck to hot neck. And she gets her stomach stapled. She had the stomach surgery, and she's like trying to lose weight. Her man from Honey Boo Boo show cheated on her. He's getting married, so she's like doing that revenge body thing. Yeah, I'll watch that bullshit.
Did she do that thing to her?
She still has the turkey gobbler neck.
She did?
Though, right now in the show. I don't know how it ends.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure she needs to fix that, but
it does stand out.
The only reason I bring this up because that Catch Me Outside girl. I could see something like that, like maybe not TLC, but someone doing some like I don't know VH1 or something doing a thing. MTV2.
I'm sure everyone would take her at this point.
She's that big of a draw.
Yeah, it's crazy. The fact that I know about her should tell you how big of a draw she is.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's weird, man.
Yeah,
Catch Me Outside.
How about that?
I feel real Chris Hansen right now commenting about her ass, and she's 12.
Well, you didn't know. No one knows anything about her.
I thought she's 20.
Yeah. Okay, moving on from Catch Me Outside.
Ryan Bader says Catch Me Outside, Bellator.
Yeah, so he did sign with Bellator officially, and the contract is pretty cool. I remember we were talking about this before too, how it's called a inactivity clause. So if Bellator doesn't give him 3 fights per year, if for some reason they can't give it to him outside of injury, he still gets his purse.
Damn, that's cool.
all his fights, they're show and win money regardless.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's great.
This says the other major reason for his interest in Bellator, Bader said, was the sponsorship money coming into play. 2 years ago, the UFC signed an exclusive apparel deal with Reebok, which prohibited fighters from wearing their own sponsor in the cage during fight week. In exchange, Reebok pays fighters a fee based on tenure with the UFC. The most money earned is $40K for champions, $30K for title challengers. A fighter with 21 more fights makes $20,000. Wow. So Bader's making $15,000 a fight. He says the lowest I've ever made, and that was on the premiums, was $35,000 a fight. Yeah. I made upwards of $80,000 a grand on fight on sponsors. Yeah, I mean Phil Davis. Yeah, I mean Ryan Bader. Pretty well known, pretty good draw. Obviously a well spoken, good looking dude. Won the Ultimate Fighter. Had a good win streak. He's had his ups and downs. He's beat some really, really good guys.
Yeah. And speaking of him, Tito Ortiz was strong enough to choke him to the point of tapping.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tito Ortiz, if you remember, he hit him first, knocked him out, and then took him down. But yeah, leaving is bittersweet. Yeah, I can imagine that. It's sad, but at the same time, it's refreshing. Yeah, and I think it's a good move for Bader. Was he ever going to be world champion in the UFC? Not with a guy named John Jones there. And also, DC's a matchup nightmare for him, too, just stylistically. So with those two guys in the division, you have Gustafsson. And outside that, he's probably the fourth best. I really do. I think he's probably fourth best in the UFC. Which, it's not a bad living, but you never be world champ. In Bellator, he can be world champ. Mm-hmm. The Phil Davis fight is an extremely tough fight for him. But it's not out of the realm to think he can win that type of fight and become world champion and also make more money doing so. I hate to tell you, that is the name of the game, is make as much money as possible without taking too much brain damage. I think that's Bellator for him. There's some exciting matchups there. I could see him fighting Chael Sonnen. A Fedor fight could be in the possibility. There's a lot of stuff going down. King Mo. Ryan Bader King Mo is a great fight. Ryan Bader Rampage in Bellator. There's a lot of fun fights for him out there. I can see how guys, looking back on it, is kind of sad because, when you're a kid or you're growing up, the UFC is kind of that spotlight, it's all you really, it's hard to think outside the box, but things change, man. I wish him the best. I love Bader. I bet we'll have him on the show.
That'd be rad.
Yeah.
Even, so Bader and Lorenz, I remember them mentioning something like, it was about how fans, I know Lorenz was disappointed in fans because of that UFC thing. They're like, why aren't you staying with the UFC? That's the best thing in the business. He's like, dude, it's what's best for the fighters.
They don't understand.
He was upset about the fans.
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, but that stuff shouldn't sway too much. Like anyone who's worth their salt, you really can't listen to what the fans would say about that stuff. Like they're the fans of the game, and they know fighting from their seat on the couch, which is great, and it's good that they love the fight game, but they have no idea what it takes to get to the fight game. What comes down to it, the X's and O's, what's best for your family, the paydays, the matchups, what exactly goes into this circus. So, you take that with a grain of salt. It's the same thing anyone who's in radio or podcasting or entertainment. When you start listening to what the fans think you should do on a show, you're probably pretty screwed. Guys like Howard Stern never did that. Glenn Beck, you look at some of the guys who were pioneers. Listen, if the fans had the answers to what makes a good show, they would probably be doing it. It's not a knock against the fans, but at the same time, you got to do what you think's right. Hopefully people dig it. If not, you probably shouldn't be in the business. If you have an idea for a show, you're like, God, this is what I want to do, and then you go online or you go to some forums or you go to social media to get these people's insights on what they think. Well, what the fuck you doing, man? They would do it if they had the answers. So you got to be very careful with that stuff. You really got to tune that stuff out. Otherwise, it's gonna shape the way you want to do shows. But that's not your vision.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely tuned it out. He was just like, damn, I'm disappointed in you guys because
he shouldn't be too worried about it because it's not that disappointed because. To them too, UFC is the big show in town. Like, what are you doing, man? Yeah. But they don't get it. They don't get that the contractually the Bellator is better for them. It's better for his family. It's better for Bader. It's sponsors and all sorts of stuff and becoming a world champion. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it that they just don't see.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one. You talked about this before.
Ooh.
Derek Lewis versus Mark Hunt is happening. It's going to happen in Auckland, I guess, Australia.
When is that?
UFC Fight Night 110.
Auckland's New Zealand, son.
Oh, New Zealand. My bad. I thought it was Australia for some reason.
I don't think so.
Well, we'll figure it out.
It's definitely New Zealand, sir.
Right, June 11th.
Oh.
Maybe because I'm seeing AU and I'm automatically jumping up. Yeah, it's New Zealand.
Yeah, that's where, I mean, obviously Mark Hunt's from there. He's from New Zealand. Great fight. Great fucking fight. That's a tough one to call, man. Derek Lewis, Mark Hunt, because I'm trying to get on this Black Beast train, and I am. I'm on it. I'm on it. The scary thing about this, that Travis Brown, he got in a little bit of trouble and ended up pulling out. Shows you how, just the tenacity a guy like that has, and there's no quit in him. And he has the heaviest hands in the division. It's probably 1A, Mark Hunt, 1B, Derek Lewis. Like they're both, you can interchange them out, but I don't know. I'd say right now, the Black Beast in his prime, he probably hits harder than Mark Hunt. He doesn't have as good as technique, which is interesting in this fight because if either one of these guys land, someone's going to sleep. It's the chance of this going to, a decision in 5 rounds is fucking insane. That's not happening. In this fight, and obviously we'll break down as he gets closer, but Mark Hunt hits, just as hard, maybe not as hard, but damn close, but his technique's a lot more crisp. But Derek Lewis, he hits hard as fuck. Hard as fuck, man. And, his grappling isn't great, which, I don't see him taking Mark Hunt down. Amazing fight. Great next step for Derek Lewis. But Derek Lewis, Gabriel Gonzaga, Roy Nelson, just coming off this huge win over Travis Brown. This is a big fight for him, man. Perfect matchup for him too.
I love the matchup.
Love it. I wonder what the odds will be. And how many more does Mark Hunt have left after being, put to sleep by Alistair Overeem?
That was one of the worst.
It's a bad one. It was a flatliner face first. So I'd assume Derek Lewis is a slight favorite in this fight. But the odds on this can be tough to make because you're 2 of the hardest hitting fighters in the world at heavyweight. So I would assume it's like a let's say minus 175 for Derek Lewis, I bet.
What do you think of him fighting in New Zealand, Mark?
For Mark, I would assume if Mark loses fight, he's probably done. I'd assume the UFC releases him too. He's a legend, but, he's had a tough outing last couple of fights, and he's in the dispute with the UFC. At least he's fighting in his hometown. So it's good for Mark because that flight from New Zealand to the States is a beast. So it's good that he doesn't have to make that trip.
Definitely. All right. So the next one is Vitor. He spoke to a media outlet in Brazil and said that he would actually entertain or like a fight with CM Punk.
Look at the picture.
I know.
Who is this MMA? Look at the picture of CM Punk, just terrified. Why would they post that fight? Powerful Gracie Jiu-Jitsu shirt, though. I like that. So Vitor, is this serious?
I mean, he did have an interview with that magazine, and it looked like a legit. It's called AG, and it seems like a legit mixed martial arts site for Brazil. So I mean, he seems like he is serious. And
Vitor was dead serious.
Dead serious, and then Michael Bisping called him out, saying he's like a pussy, this and that, for even calling out CM Punk. And he went on this tirade here. He's talking about him on steroids. It gives you a psychological and physical advantage. If you need that, you're a coward, so on and so forth. And that's why you're calling out CM Punk, because you're a coward.
Wow. He says you're a fucking pussy and you are a cheat. And the very fact that somebody would take steroids their entire career, then get their ass kicked and call it CM Punk, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Jeez, Bisping. It's as simple as that. And that just speaks volumes to the character and level of a man that Vitor Belfort is. I wouldn't fucking piss on him if he was on fire. Man, upset are we? I get why he's upset because remember, Vitor Belfort's the one that fucked his eye up. He was on steroids, did the spinning heel kick and fucked his eye up. That was a rough moment in Bisping's career, and he's had so many highlights. Of course he's going to be mad. It's definitely a bit of a cop-out. I'm with Bisping on this, with Belfort calling out CM Punk, a guy with one UFC fight and lost to a young Mickey Gall. Sir, you're a legend. You probably make Mount Rushmore, my Mount Rushmore at least. When you're on TRT, you make my Mount Rushmore. You can't call a guy who's 0-1. You're a goddamn legend. That's crazy. What are you doing? That's a huge black eye. I know you need a win, but goddamn, you might as well call out freaking Bruce Buffer. I mean, it's no different. It's a terrible, terrible look, and of course the UFC's not going to make that happen. No, I guess you could do it in Brazil. That'd be the only way you get sanctioned, because in the States, no one would sanction that fight. Guy's been fighting for 20 years versus a guy who's 0-1. They wouldn't sanction that fight. They just wouldn't. It's so silly to even think about.
Do you think he was okay? I mean, you're obviously saying that there's no way they would sanction it, but do you think he's just trying to throw a shot out there to make as much money as possible, or is he really like a coward for doing that?
I don't think he's a coward. I just think he's like, what's the easiest fight? I don't feel great. I don't look great. I need to go off on a high note. I just need a huge name. They're making all these entertaining fights anyways. Fuck it. CM Punk. Terrible idea. Wish you would have discussed this with an agent or representative, because they'd be like, definitely don't do that. If CM Punk calls you out, then yes. Maybe let's reach out to CM Punk, see if we'd even entertain the fight, and let's have it come from his angle, because you're a Hall of Famer. You can't call out a guy who's 0-1. It's just a bad look. Terrible, terrible look. And he set himself up for all these guys to come out the woodworks, like Bisping, who hate him.
Yeah,
you can't fight CM Punk.
I don't think CM Punk would call him out.
No. The hell no. It's a terrible fight for CM Punk. Mickey Gall starched him. Vitor Belfort? Fucking kidding me?
I know.
Vitor Belfort at 80 could beat up CM Punk. And it's nothing against CM Punk. But it's just, how talented fucking Vitor Belfort is? You know how long he's been doing this? Started fighting the UFC at 19, the Phenom.
I know. 20-something years.
20 years deep in the UFC. He knows every trick. He's as vet as they come. He's fought the best of the best. No, you can't fight CM Punk, man. Simply no, sir.
I wonder if CM Punk even acknowledged this. I didn't look around, but I'm going to probably look for it later.
That would have been all over if he did. It'd be funny if CM Punk's like, how about no? CM Punk should have fun with this.
It would be awesome if you said, let's do it. Let's do it.
There's no way he would do it.
I know.
There's no one's going to let CM Punk. That's dead man walking. That's fucking, that's like the sheep in Jurassic Park chained to the fence with the T-Rex.
I wouldn't feel comfortable watching it.
No. You might as well go watch an old episode of Bully Beatdown on MTV if you enjoy that shit. No. If CM Punk is going to fight in the UFC, which he will again, I guarantee you, if he does, and when he does, it needs to be against another young, upcoming guy who also has the jitters of the octagon, not a well-known vet who can spin kick you into fucking eternity.
Yeah. Or that guy, Mike Jackson, do you remember Mike Jackson? He was the first guy to fight Mickey Gall. He's like a journalist, MMA journalist, but he also did a little bit of MMA.
Well, no, because the thing, you can't have that. You can't have two slap dicks fighting. You have to have one guy who might have a little bit of a career, like Mickey Gall, who's young. He has the skill set. He's well spoken. So we can, after he wins, you can build that platform to send him off to some more real fights. Like you look at Mickey Gall, and then he went on to beat Sage Northcutt. Mm-hmm. Like Mickey Gall's the real deal. So at least when we know Mickey Gall, he was the guy who beat the shit out of CM Punk. Now he's the guy who beat their other golden boy, Sage Northcutt. So now Mickey Gall, there's some real interest there, and he has the skills to back it up. He's actually going to be really, really good.
He seems like a good fighter.
Yeah. He has the fight in him. He has the ground game. He's good striking. He's obviously, has great drive, and so that if you're going to use CM Punk, and let's say he fights one more time, you got to use him on a guy who can build. CM Punk's not going to win. He's just not. Let's be real here. I love the guy, but he's not going to win the fight. So let's use this platform, which is going to get a lot of draws, to pump the guy who's going to actually have a career.
Here's a completely random question, but let's say Sage was the one to introduce CM Punk to the first fight. Do you think he would have done better than Mickey Gall?
There's no doing better. I don't.
Oh yeah, because it was super fast.
Yeah, remember CM Punk was like, I want to try this. Hike and just fucking ran across and like was like, oh God, and got taken down. Then just got pounded out. You know, like there's nothing you can as a fighter. That's the easiest payday of all time.
Yeah.
So I guess the only thing that could be worse if CM Punk charged him like that and Mickey or Sage Northcutt threw like a spinning heel kick and knocked him out. Like that's way more embarrassing. Mm-hmm. So as far as doing better, it'd be worse for CM Punk if that happened. It'd be just on highlights, and they would have used that highlight on every fucking UFC coming this summer, and it's just CM Punk getting blasted in the face. That's the worst. What else you got, brother?
Okay, this Texas card, UFC Fight Night 104, 3 different fighters tested positive for marijuana, and I think Texas is a place where they just don't. Marijuana is just not cool at all. You can't have it at all. But this commission, they fined them only $1,000 and gave them 90-day suspension. And 2 people won. Nico Price and Curtis Blades won, and their fights become no contest.
That's stupid. But rules are rules. So that means they must have smoked close to the fight.
Well, the thing is, so the Texas doesn't have a threshold, so it could have been maybe just any marijuana in their system, just metabolites or whatever. I'm not sure how they do it, but if they don't have a threshold, it's possible they could have just had traces of it.
That's so
and they just tested positive.
That's kind of silly. But that's the game, man. You got to know where you're fighting. Obviously, you can't have freaking marijuana. And it looks like our boy Blades here, he trains out of Denver, Colorado with my old team at that Muscle Farm gym. First of all, he has a little bit of gyno there, set of tits on him. And the I'm trying to think how to put this. When you smoke weed, it's going to show up in fat cells for a long time.
Okay,
so if you're a guy who has a little bit more body fat, it's going to be easier to detect down the road. And Curtis Blades obviously isn't going to win any bodybuilding competitions. So, and I'm not knocking the guy, but heavyweights need to be way more careful. Any heavyweight, because they typically have more body fat, which stores in the adipose tissue. So it's going to show up longer. It's going to be easy. It's going to be detectable longer in those bigger bodies. That's all I'm saying. I'm not making fun of Curtis Blades.
That makes sense.
He's an animal.
Yeah, definitely heavyweights definitely carry a lot more fat.
Yep.
So it makes a difference.
What else you got, brother?
Next one. You've already kind of touched on this with the Frank Grillo podcast. So Matt Hughes is considering a comeback. He was on that show, Joe Buck, like an HBO show interview, and then at the very end of it, or somewhere, he's like saying, I would fight someone that's on your show, that was on your show. I wouldn't do a comeback. And there's 2 people that were on that show. There was George St. Pierre and Hoist Gracie. So,
well, I love Matt Hughes. The answer is no. Let's not do that. And if you were to come back, you sure as fuck not going to fight Hoist Gracie.
Oh, Hoist Gracie.
No one wants to see that bullshit. Hoist Gracie's also with Bellator.
I can't wait to show you the next one, but go ahead.
Okay, Hoist Gracie's definitely with Bellator. And George St. Pierre, it's just that boat has sailed, man. He's fighting Michael Bisping, who's relevant for the belt. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know why guys want to do it. I don't. That's the difference between me and them. You're talking about a guy who Mount Rushmore, best welterweights of all time, and he always has the fight in him. And I'm definitely on no one's Mount Rushmore, and I would never, ever, especially at that age, think about fighting. Also, but what's he have going on right now? That's the other thing you got to ask yourself. When you see these guys going, oh, I want to fight again after years off, what do they have going on?
Yeah.
He was on the set of Kingdom. I get that. He did work for the UFC. They, released him from that when WME took over. So what's he have going on? And once guys have a lot of free time, they go, I kind of want to fight again. I think that's where that comes from. A lot of boredom, no other options.
And he was recently cut from the UFC, whatever he was doing.
And he had a big contract too. Yeah. Now I'm not saying that he can't fight again or people won't pay attention. It's kind of like, man, when that boat sails, it sails. I guess one more, I could get that. Sometimes I'll be in the gym and a song come on. I'm like, fuck, man, I can picture myself walking out to this fight. This would be sick. Wow. For the right money, one more. I can see how he gets that itch, but it's been a lot of years for him, and he's also a lot older and the game's changed. So I don't know, man.
Well, to tie this up, Royce Gracie said he is interested in this match, and then what he writes here is the best, or what he says here is the best. He goes, "Man, that would be great." Gracie, he told MMA Fighting, he goes, "That would be great. Everybody wants to see this second fight."
Excuse me, sir, and this is no disrespect to Royce Gracie, one of the greatest of all time. He's been on our show. I fucking love the guy. Everybody does not want to see that second fight. Did you see Royce Gracie for Ken Shamrock?
Yeah,
that was tough to watch, man. It's not fun watching these older guys fight. It's just, it hurts your feelings, especially if you're a fan and you remember them in their prime and stuff like that. No. The answer's no.
Just no.
No. No, Royce. Just keep doing seminars and being the legend that you are. No.
Yeah, it's hard to... Because Royce is the very, very first guy in all of our memories when we watch the UFC. And he's like a legend, but usually legends should just be a legend. A legend, yeah.
Be a legend.
Not continue to come back.
No. Hey, does anyone want to see Sean Connery as the new James Bond? I sure as fuck don't. He's 90. Don't want to see him as James Bond. Hey, does anyone want to see fucking Marlon Brando when he got fat as fuck be the ladies' man they used to be? Sure don't. I sure as fuck don't. There's reasons for that, man. I like to remember them in their prime and when they were, the greatest man walking the earth, and they were this dime piece, and they had charisma and this energy about them. Let's leave it as that. I don't want to see, I don't want to see. I don't want to see fucking Jerry West try and shoot threes over LeBron James, because LeBron James would fucking block his shot so hardcore it would hurt everyone's feelings. You think Babe Ruth is great? Yeah, no, he's one of the best. Would you like to see Babe Ruth come back alive today in his prime and try to hit a fucking curveball, a fucking Kershaw or something like that? It would hurt everyone's feelings. He would strike out so bad. It's just a different game. I don't want to see that bullshit. It's just a different time. I don't see Babe Ruth at 80 try to hit a Pedro Martinez fucking changeup. It's gonna fuck with the greatness, man.
And this is still his lifetime too for Royce Gracie. Not coming back from the
dude,
past.
just chill. But again, what is Royce Gracie doing? What is Matt Hughes doing? What do they have going on right now? A lot of these guys, you got to wonder what's going on. If you have a lot of free time, I can see it. I'd be forced to fight. If I didn't have my entertainment right now and stand up and the Fighting the Kid, the Big Brown Breakdown, I had nothing on, I would probably be fighting right now. I have nothing else to do, man.
I would imagine that Royce has a nut, right? His name alone.
Oh, he can go around doing seminars to his balls or down to his ankles.
So he must just miss the attention, the lights.
Big payday, lights. If he is fighting, it helps everything else. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it does help everything else. As long as it doesn't get destroyed.
It feeds everything else. But, again, we're talking about two of the greats, so that fight's always in them. Mm-hmm. I was never a great, so maybe that's why I don't have it. Or maybe I'm just busy as fuck. I don't know.
All right, well, we'll move on from this and go to Nate Diaz. So Dana White was talking to TMZ in one of the TMZ interviews, and he was mentioning that Nate and Nick, they offered him fights, but they keep turning down fights. So Nate Diaz immediately went to his Twitter and said, he called Dana a fucker. He goes, "This fucker can't stop making shit up about me." And then he had like a emoji of a middle finger and a fist or something.
That's their thing, right? They have this weird relationship.
And they're cool with each other, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like they're cool. Nate can do this. Dana can do this. They talk shit in the media, but then you see videos of them like hanging out or him talking like, I wish more fighters like the Diaz brothers. Or I wish so they have this weird relationship where he gets away with it. Mm-hmm. Like this fucker is kind of endearing, I think, for Dana White when Diaz talks like that. This fucker can't stop making shit up about me. I think they offered him the Eddie Alvarez fight. That's all I know.
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah, I think they offered him Eddie Alvarez, and it's just not. It's Conor for the belt or bust, I think, which makes sense where they're at in their career.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Is that it, brother?
That's pretty much it.
Perfect, man. Well, let's jump into it, ladies and gentlemen. One of the legends of the sport. He's on my Mount Rushmore. The one and only, the great Bas Rutten. The one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, might be the busiest guy in show business, Bas Rutten.
Woo! Rutten is here.
Dude, we've been trying to get this thing going for a while now. Your schedule, my schedule, finally it linked up.
It's okay. I gotta go fire right away. It's Brenda Schaub. Do you know?
Brendan.
No, Brenda.
Brenda.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Somebody tweeted me yesterday, Brenda Schaub, with a really weird quote, and I go, is that you? Maybe somebody's doing something
I don't think
weird.
so, man. Yeah. I don't think so.
It's really weird. Well,
depends what the quote was.
Yeah.
I say a lot of random shit.
I'm gonna look it up now. Because there was, I hope Brenda, come on.
Sometimes, like when you insert certain things, it won't do that many letters, so it'll leave off the N.
Like Brandau?
No, Brenda Schaub. See?
Oh no, shit! No, this isn't me. This is Brenda Schaub at Shawberry Finn.
But look what she wrote.
Boss Hooch, if you are thinking about something bad, don't do it. Something good, double down. I definitely didn't do that.
But the way it's spelled also, right?
Yeah, it's similar. Same last name. Yeah, definitely not me, though.
No, but also the way she says something.
Something.
SUMTHIN.
Might have missed a couple English classes in high school.
Bass Hooch.
Bass
I still have the two S's there. I go, nah, I'm not a fish.
That's all good.
It was funny one. You remember Fabiano Ia?
Yeah.
A long time ago. He came to me one day. I had this shirt that says, I'm the boss, right? And he goes, hey, boss, you spelled your name wrong. And I go, I was born with it. No,
I'm
right.
pretty sure I got this, man.
Yeah, it's got to be two S's.
Yeah, you're like, no, dumbass.
Yeah.
No, pretty sure I got this.
See, dumb ass, bass, that's not it. It's boss, one S. See, so.
There you go, man. So what's going on, brother? You have all these projects going on. You got your boy Morrow, who's just a madman, WWE, boxing, Showtime boxing. He's all over, too. How do you guys do it?
I have no clue. I was just talking to somebody also. It's sometimes we should, because we have Rutten and Ronaldo. That's the show. That's the podcast of positivity. That's just only happy stuff. And then we have the Combat Sports Carousel. It's all about fighting. So for people to tune in. And that means we have to do that over the weekend because we have to watch all the fights, and then to preview all the fights for next weekend. And with his schedule, sometimes we're shooting at 5 a.m. at his gym, at his apartment. He has a little studio room.
And is that just you and Morrow breaking down the fights?
Yep, just us breaking down the fights, and sometimes we call somebody else in just for fun.
And is it all MMA fights, or is it
No,
everything?
it's boxing, it's everything, kickboxing, you name it, and we wrap it up with professional wrestling.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you guys have that. You have your own podcast. Then you have all these other projects. Like I said, we have a mutual friend in Rick Lee, and he goes, dude, you have Boss coming on. You got to have him talk about, we shot these comedy sketches with him. I'm like, Boss did a comedy sketch show? He goes, yes. Yeah, so what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Like how did this come about? What's going on here?
Well, Rick and Dave Rispoli, they contacted me. I'm writing writing blogs for their website, for champions.co, and not .com, .co. And they said, hey, we want to have lunch. And we talked, and they said, we want to do this crazy comedy sketch things with you. We send you everywhere where you officially do not want to go. Let's get Boss relaxed. Let's put him in a knitting course. And those kind of things. And now I come up with these crazy ideas, Boss diapers. And I have an own news show that I create. And I try to come up with all these crazy ideas, and of course, are not really great ideas. Although the Boss diaper, once you see that episode, you're going to go, I can see it.
Yeah, he might do something here. Yeah,
I see it. Because on long trips, for instance, I just give one away, and it's not even in the show. But I had it not last time, it's a while ago. It's probably before October, because that's when we stopped at Inside MMA. I was going back, and we had a big traffic jam. And that was the first time in my car that I had to really pee. And I could not.
Oh,
I could not get off, but it was they were working. I go, man, what do I do? And I have this little behind my what is it?
Like your back seat there?
Yeah, behind the back seat there's this little trash bag, and I'm looking into it, and I go like, I hope it's water resistant, So I scoot all the way forward, and I start peeing, and I throw a lot of paper in there. I try to absorb it, but slowly but surely I go, oh, here we go.
Oh, no.
So I put it on my front there next to the shotgun side on the ground. I figured I'm going to clean that later. From that moment on, you know what I did? I have in the car, my wife had something with her hand. It was like broke. And they gave her one of those plastic sleeves.
Oh, yeah.
And they gave like 3 of them. And I go, they're mine.
You
Because
need
right
those
now
sleeves?
I pull them out.
Bro, why not just use like Gatorade bottles or something?
That's what
Way
I thought.
easier.
I used to do that at the Pride Fighting Championships.
Used to pee in the Gatorade
In a
bottle?
Gatorade bottle. Because, if you have a 5, 6, 7 hour show, like if you do that show on New Year's Eve, you start at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And at midnight, you're not done because that's why Inoki starts slapping everybody, so
Yeah.
you're still there.
Yeah.
So thankfully we had a little, cloth hanging over, so I would pull that over me, and then
pee in
I
the
just
bottle?
pee in the bottle.
It's
Nobody knew.
surprising how much pee goes in those bottles. Like it fills up an entire thing.
And then sometimes also you feel when you really have to pee and it only fills up like this.
Yes.
You go, how is that possible?
Yes.
But then right away, within half an hour, you got to go again.
Yeah,
and
man.
that's the real one.
Yeah, I've had some
know?
road trips where I have to pee in bottles, and I'm like, all right, this little 8-ounce bottle, I'll fill this. Who knows if I'll fill it up? And you're changing them out, man. I'll fill up 2-3 of those things.
You know what the worst thing is? Never do this. Only if you're in the back seat, not in the front seat. Don't take like an McDonald's big cup, you throw it out and you pee it full.
Yeah.
And if you're in the front seat, throw it out, it splashes against the car. And that happens, splash, everything against the car. Back window was a little bit open. A friend of mine said that I dropped something on
Oh
it.
my God.
Yeah.
Give him the R. Kelly shower from the front.
Next time you give that warm cup to him and you say,
He dumps
you
it
do
out?
it in the back. Yeah.
You're always in traffic because you're just constantly moving.
That's the thing. I'm constantly busy, and then if there's a traffic jam.
Was the once Inside MMA? I'm surprised Inside MMA stopped because it's one of the longest running shows and everyone loved doing it. How was it? Was it bittersweet for you, or you were so busy it was almost a relief?
No, it was, you become like almost family, especially for me. I don't have any family here in America. So, if I see Kenny for 9 years every week, you become very close. But everybody, Rachel, our makeup girl,
Yeah.
they're always been there. So that was a hard thing. Needless to say, the money was also because suddenly if you're used to that kind of money and suddenly it's gone, you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? But my wife always said, it was early on already before Inside MMA. Every time, when we need money, she always was just laughing. She said, why are you so worried? Every time something happens,
figure it out.
it happens all the time. And boom, now we're here. We're doing the podcast. We're doing this new thing. The auto trainer, we'll talk about it in a little bit because you have to look into that thing.
Yeah.
So all these things start coming back. And the good thing about it is that, for instance, now at On It, I do a seminar on April 1st. With Dwayne Ludwig at the Academy in Austin. I couldn't have done that before because it's Friday.
busy.
It's hard, And that maybe I could have pulled off with a red eye, but if something is overseas where they want me all the time, they say, hey, in Italy, can you do a seminar in Germany? There's no way I can do it. Because if you leave on Saturday, well, you arrive on Sunday, they're 9 hours ahead, and then pretty much the day is gone already. So those kind of things open up. Now also World Series of Fighting, if it's on Fridays, I can do it. I couldn't do that before because we had the show. 9:30 p.m. at night live is a hard show at Pacific time.
Big time.
Yeah, because you can't fly out after that because you're 10:30, you're done. Once you're 10 o'clock, okay, now you got to go to the airport. Hopefully there's a flight, that doesn't leave before midnight. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. So,
What do you think that is? My girl said the same thing. Like I was talking to my business manager, and he had this chart, and he goes, "Look, man, you're worried about this one thing when you stop fighting. Look at your income since you stopped fighting." And then you can see another transformation when your son was born. Look at your income. Like, I don't know if it's the fighter's mentality, if it's a work ethic, what it is. But whenever kind of your back is against the wall, you're like, God, how am I going to make up financially for this? Then you start getting creative. And then the work ethic just takes over. And you constantly find different avenues, different streams to make up that income.
it's really like that. Yeah. All the people who were talking to me over the years, hey, we want to have an idea, we want to do this. And, I never really dove into it because I know the Friday was going to
You can't put your effort into it, really.
But I wrote the names down. So then once you start, like this is how it started. Rick Lee. Rick Lee was at the going away party at Inside MMA, the last one. And he said, hey, boss, we'd love to work with you. That's how this started. So give me a
the
call.
next one, yeah.
Yeah. So that was instantly. That was literally when the rep party, and then boom, it was there.
With World Series of Fighting, do you have any say on what's going on there, decision making or any of that? Do you have any influence? Because they have a lot of their champions just left, right?
Yeah.
You have Branch, you have all these other guys.
Yep.
Gaethje's still there, but you have a lot of guys who just didn't re-sign. Just they kind of let them go, do their thing. Like that can't be. I'm not saying that it's a bad look for World Series MMA, but it can't be great.
No, it's not great. It's not fun. But I think that some of them, the stories that I heard, which I can't say, I'm sorry, because it's an NDA, and I signed it. But next year is going to be very interesting for the World Series of Fighting, and I think a lot of fighters want to be in the World Series of Fighting. Trust me on that.
Because of contractually and just the
money-wise,
moves their money.
everything. Yep.
Because you look at what
very interesting.
Yeah, because you look at what Bellator is doing. They're signing a lot of these big free agents that are leaving the UFC, or not even free agents. Guys just want to be over there for a number of reasons: sponsorship, money wise, exposure, pay-per-view points, regular TV points. And you see Bellator kind of taking these guys. So it's be interesting to see what World Series kind of almost what they're going to do different to attract these other big free agencies.
Yeah, it's hard now, right? It's almost like they make their own champions now, right? This is at this moment, but then, once they're up there, everybody eventually wants to go to the UFC, right? It's the biggest animal out there, and they think, well, and I understand, if you're a fighter, Bellator could be a better option right now because they make more money, especially in sponsorships.
Yep.
So, but still, if you walk around on the street and people say, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a mixed martial artist. Mixed martial, what is that? Yeah, maybe, like cage fighting. Did you hear about that? But because you don't know how to explain it. Say, UFC, for Ultimate Fighting Challenge. They say that, the challenge.
Yeah. It's true. They you do UFC.
Right
if
away.
You say I do, if I fight in Bellator, you do UFC.
That's it.
Well, that's a league. But
you do UFC in Bellator.
Yes. So you do no, that's crazy contradicting. But I just when I saw that World Series, they're letting go of these champs, and I think Gaethje's kind of your guys. Is that fair to say? He's kind of your staple champion.
He is, and Moraes and Branch was really good, having 2 belts, 2 different weight classes. I remember David Branch when we all the way in the beginning. He was fighting very conservative. He didn't let it go. And there was one day we had lunch, and we were talking. I said, "What is that?" And he says, "You know what? I realized that once I just let it go like I do in the gym, it's much better. You watch me. I'm going to start finishing people now." And I know a lot of fighters say that, but then they don't do it. And boom, he went on a tear. He started finishing people constantly. I think from his last fights, maybe one went to a decision, and the rest from the last 5-6 fights, and the rest, he stopped them. So he just changed his whole life around, and now, of course, he wants to go back to the UFC. Where he came from in the first place, and hopefully he does better now.
And now in the UFC, hopefully fights like you did in World Series.
That's the thing. I'm afraid also when you come with a UFC champion, of a World Series of Fighting champion, and they put him in the UFC, do they give you an easy opponent, or they want to show the world, like, wait a minute, here, this is what happens. That was the champion? Watch this. This is the number 8 guy, and he's going to destroy him. Yeah, no, that's typically what they do. They throw you kind of the wolves, and it's sink or swim. That's the UFC in general, but if you come from another organization, you look at a guy like Will Brooks, they've done him no favors. No.
Come from Bellator, and he was, a big staple there, and he comes to the UFC, you're going to get top dogs right away. They don't really give you warm-ups. Nor should you if you're a champion.
No, you shouldn't. Yeah, and Alvarez did good. That was the guy that was the first guy from Bellator coming in.
Yeah, that's a great point.
The UFC.
Yeah, Eddie, he fought the best of the best. He became champion, but they didn't do him any favor. There's no warm-ups. There's gonna be no warm-ups for Branch.
No, which is you make a point. If you're a champ, there shouldn't.
No,
you fight everybody.
You're a champ. Why would we give you a guy who's not, or a guy that has he's not even a contender?
It's the World Series of Fighting. So the World Championship, you got to fight the champ. There you go. Look at that.
And World Series of Fighting, that's on NBC Sports, correct?
NBC Sports, and then the big events. If there's like for instance, we had the one we had in the Garden in New York on the 31st of December.
With all the champions, right?
Yeah, and though we had the undercard fighting on NBCSN, and then on NBC was the main card. So a couple of times a year, like 5 times a year, the main events are actually on NBC.
And you love doing World Series of Fighting.
I love it. And now also what they're doing, they brought Rennie aboard. And Rennie's doing some commentating. I'm doing some commentating. Then they sent me to the back, talk to the fighters in the back, which I enjoy as well. Because, you know as well as I do, there's a lot of different dressing rooms, locker rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Like my locker room, everything needs to be happy. If you say, hey, boss, rip his head off, you're out. I hate that, because don't keep everything calm. But you see other guys need to be slapped in the face constantly. They need to be aware that they're in this situation. I never had that. I never, we're just having fun and we relax.
Yeah. As a I mean, really a pioneer of mixed martial arts and a former UFC champion, and you've gone through the ranks, and you've seen probably more fights than anyone that's graced this planet, whether you were in them or you're commentating on them. Do you see a change in the UFC after being bought out by WME? You know how now you'll see like GSP, who hasn't fought in forever, he gets a title shot. You see a guy like CM Punk comes from WWE, but he's a huge draw, and now he's going to fight in the UFC. Does that bother you as a purist or a guy that's kind of paid his dues or anything like that? Are you cool with it?
No, I'm totally cool with it as long as it's not too much. CM Punk totally get it. Brock Lesnar, look what he did, 1.6 million pay-per-view buys, right?
Yeah.
He was the first one to break that barrier. So they knew what was happening. That would be gold. So having CM Punk, but I think he was separated too long from the WWE to get those kind of numbers.
Yeah.
It would have been better if he would have straight from the WWE, boom, like Brock Lesnar did, fight. And I can understand, with McGregor, with Bisping, people going, oh, yeah, it's not honest. Yoel Romero should have gotten that shot. Yeah, but I can understand this. I mean, because he's the champ. He did beat Anderson Silva. People go, yeah, no, but he didn't. He beat him.
No, he beat
if
him.
you look him up, he beat him.
Yeah,
That's it. And I
him.
thought actually he beat him as
Me
well.
too.
So and then Luke Rockhold. I mean, then Dan Henderson. And Dan Henderson, they were already complaining.
Yeah.
And I said, why would you be complaining? This is probably Dan's last fight. He deserves it to have a title shot. Bisping deserves it to have a title shot. Let's do it. Yeah, it sucks for Yoel Romero right now because you're going to have to wait. But that's what you do as a fighter. I didn't have a long time title fights until I started getting vocal in Pride Fighting Championships. And in Pancras. And in Pancras, it was different. Like in Pancras, you win the title, and then your next two fights are non-titles. It's really weird. You just fight guys.
Why?
I have no clue why. Otherwise, I would be like a 13-time world champion.
15-time world champion. But wait, your belt was your belt still on the line?
No, the belt is not on the line, so it's no title fight. So it's really weird. I guess when he would win, then he is first one in line to challenge you, and then I would go, yeah, but give him the belt. He beat me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why would it? If I fight for a belt, it would always, for me, should be a title fight, whether we're fighting for the belt or not. I want to win.
Always.
So if I would lose, I would rather give the belt to him. I say, well, you get it. I'll come back to get it.
Did you ever lose one of those fights?
No. I won.
So it doesn't really matter.
Didn't lose in my last 22.
So
I went out on top.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you're 22 world time champ. You know what I'm saying? Like
That would be
that's
cool.
how it works, man. I don't care what they say. That's how it works.
You see, I should start changing that now. Put it underneath Bas Rutten.
Yeah, man, I'll be your
22-time
PR guy, 22-time world champion Bas Rutten. That's how I'm going to introduce you from now on.
How funny is that? Yeah, that
It's
works.
weird, but with the UFC, as a purist, I understand how Yoel Romero and the rankings guys get upset. But I also, from a UFC standpoint, I get it because that's what sells. Like Yoel Romero versus Bisping, they're not going to get that many pay-per-view bites off that, but they will off George St. Pierre versus Michael Bisping.
Yeah, and now I want to know. For me, that's the question. Why did GSP come back? Did he come back? First of all, I think it's the money. It's McGregor. That's what I think. Oh, hey, there's big money to be made. Maybe his money starts going down a little bit. He thinks, I feel great, and let's just fight. That's a big fight. Or does he want to have two belts in two different weight classes as well? Because what if he beats Bisping? Is he going to fight Romero?
No way.
That
Not
would
a
be
chance.
that's what I'm thinking.
Not a chance.
Yeah, so then I think he maybe drops to 170 and goes for that title.
Yeah, and if Woodley still has the belt, that's maybe a better matchup. Maybe, or they do the fight that people have been talking about for a while, Anderson Silva versus
That would
George
be
St. Pierre.
something, yeah. And he already, in the beginning he said, I can make 155. You knew that he was going after McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's where the real money is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? That would be a big show if he fought McGregor.
Well, I could see and I'd love to get your take. Do you think Conor versus Floyd Mayweather is going to happen?
No.
You don't think it's going to happen?
I don't think that the UFC will allow it. They're on the contract.
Dana White came out on Conan saying it's going to happen.
When?
They think September.
And where? They fight with the UFC?
Vegas. Yeah, and the UFC be part of it. It's going to be Mayweather Promotions, Showtime, UFC, Conor McGregor Promotions. They're all in cahoots.
Wow, so Showtime, that means Mauro is going to do the commentating. That would be something. I got to do something. I want to be the commentator on that fight.
See, and that's when Rogan and I were talking about this, I go, we have to have a representative from the mixed martial arts community on that panel doing commentating because you just can't have boxing experts, because experts, they don't know Conor McGregor's background, his movement, the history, what goes into mixed martial arts. So it's going to be so biased towards boxing. We can't have that.
Yep.
You at least have to have one, if not two guys. Mauro and yourself would be perfect.
Yep.
And then have a pure boxer on there.
Yeah, and Mauro is great with that, because if somebody's not biased, it's Mauro. Mauro, and many times on the show, he's completely the opposite. The thoughts of him and I are opposite, but that makes for a good show. So Mauro will not hold punches. He will literally, because it's going to be boxing.
Yeah,
he will be good for that. Yeah, and I would love to sit in on that, man. McGregor, that would be something.
Well, it's the biggest fight in our history. Number wise, it's gonna be the biggest fight of all time. Name a bigger fight, boss.
I think 5 million pay-per-view buys.
I agree.
I truly see that happening.
I can see that.
Yeah, because for what I understand, they have over 4 million with him and Pac-Man.
Yes,
and
we'll beat
then
that with
McGregor
Conor.
on top. Poof.
And then remember, you got even if you don't like McGregor and you're a mixed martial arts fan, just because you're part of this mixed martial arts family, you're going to buy that pay-per-view, whether you like Conor or not. So increase those views. And then same with Floyd. People hate Floyd Mayweather, but he represents boxing.
Yep.
So you can get those people. I think it's the biggest pay-per-view of all time.
It's going to be big money, man. And I love it. And everybody's complaining about McGregor. All the fighters, you should kiss him. I
agree.
I mean, more people watching, that means more money for you once you go to the main event and get a pay-per-view.
Yes. But I think... I know a lot of people, and as the fight gets closer, once it does happen, I'll give an actual analyst on the fight. But I don't think it's that big of a mismatch as everyone's making it. I don't think Floyd Mayweather can knock him out anytime he wants. I don't think Floyd has the punching power or the fighting style to go in there and just murk Conor McGregor in 30 seconds.
No, that's not going to happen. I don't see that happen either. But I do see the difference in boxing is going to be big. It's going to be hard for McGregor to. When he wins, it needs to be by knockout, and needs to be in the early rounds, like let's say the first 5 rounds.
Yeah,
that's what I think. Because otherwise, it's going to be high. He's been doing boxing in his diapers, Mayweather. I mean, he's born in a boxing family, the best defensive boxer on the planet. Mm-hmm. I mean, try to go. I mean, all the guys that he fought who could not knock him out, right? And now you got McGregor.
No, I agree. And I know. I get the pitch, and I get why people are like, this is a circus act, and this is some bullshit, and he has no business being there. But when people say that, they're thinking of true traditional boxers, and Mayweather grew up with his defense, which is the best of all time, of a guy throwing straight punches like a boxer. Conor McGregor's not going to fight like a boxer. He's not going to move like a boxer. He's not going to be traditional. He's going to go in and out. His stance is going to be different. The punches are going to come from different angles. And now I'm not saying that Conor's just going to go in there and beat the shit out of Floyd. That's not happening. But the time Floyd has kind of had hiccups in his career, a guy like Maidana, who didn't throw straight down the pipe. They were weird shots and kind of bullied him. He was the bigger guy. Conor's way bigger than Floyd, man. He's a lot bigger.
Taller, better reach. Yeah, he's got plus, have to
harder
understand
hitter.
As well. Who do you rather fight? Now you're going to have to fight next week. You're going to have to fight for some, I don't know why, but you're going to have to fight. You fight rather Fedor or Emelianenko, or you fight a guy who pretty much nobody knows.
Yeah.
You fight Fedor, right?
All day.
Because if you fight a guy there's no way you can lose to that guy.
Yeah.
You'd rather lose to Fedor.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for McGregor, for Mayweather, he's going to get a lot of pressure in that fight. Because everybody will tell him, oh man, this is an easy fight. You got to knock him out. That's the only thing he's going to hear in his entire training camp. And I'm telling you, once you get up, all those voices that are talking, man, they put a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and that might work against him.
I agree. And I think, the odds that came out, he's like a 12-1 favorite, which is huge.
Yeah, that's great.
It's huge. So he's 12-1 favorite. For Conor, for the mixed martial arts community, we got nothing to lose.
No,
I don't think Floyd's going to knock him out. I think Floyd wins in like a decision 12 rounds. Cool, that's your best ever. Yeah. Our guy doesn't even box. He went 12 rounds of the best ever.
Yeah.
And he made $100 million.
Yeah.
We're going Sizzler. We're good.
No, he's got no pressure going in. And you'll see it in many times this happens. When you have a main event, the last minute is a change, and that guy jumps in, there's no pressure for the guy, and then he beats him.
Seth Petrozzulli.
Against Kimbo.
Yeah, your boy Kimbo, that's right.
Man, that was crazy. Puff. Walked straight on the punch.
But that's also why a guy like Fedor, and there was other reasons, but his fight against Mitrione, they didn't know till like 2 or 3 hours before that Matt was going to pull out. The commission pulled him out. Matt wanted to fight because of his kidney stones.
Yeah.
But they asked Fedor, like, Chael will fight you, Tito will fight you. We have all these guys fighting. Fedor's like, no, I'm not taking a last-second fight. Like, I've gotten too far in my career. I'm not just going to fight anyone. I also, under the contract, I only get paid if it's Matt Mitrione. If you change the opponent, it changes the payment.
Yeah. Well, still, at that moment, I think he had a big card in the hand. I remember with Kimbo and Petrozelli, and I'm not going to go over the money, but it increased when Shamrock was out. I remember his manager, I see Mike look at me and he goes, I'm going to go for $1 million. And he goes, you're insane. And he goes, I'm going to get very close. I guarantee you that. And he got very close.
Because he goes, we'll take this fight, but you have to pay this.
That's it.
Well, you got him kind of by the balls. Our guy's not going to fight unless you do this, man.
And for us, it was great because the trainer got 10%.
I go,
you negotiate, boy.
Go $5 million. Ask for $5. It's the only time you really got the organization by the balls. Because you're like, hey, man, unless you pay him this last minute change, you got no card. So you either pay him this or you get no money.
And that's what happened. He got home with a lot of money.
I love Icy Mike. He was always great to me.
He's the whole group, the whole Kimbo group, the entourage. They're the funniest guys ever, man.
Funny and just well spoken, and they were always so friendly to me.
And Mike is a super smart dude, also.
Really smart guy.
I mean, like even Dana White said, "Well, I got his management." He said they're really smart guys.
Dude, I see Mike when Kimbo would fight on The Ultimate Fighter, or even in training. Kimbo was the first guy to have an entourage watch his fights.
Yeah.
I see Mike and the crew. We'd like, how the fuck did these guys get in?
Yeah.
Somehow, I see Mike convince Dana White to let them watch Kimbo fight.
Yeah, it's all in the contract, man. That's how it works. I told him, I said, if I ever going to fight again, you're
the guy, man. You're the guy. Did with Kimbo's passing, did that? Obviously, it surprised everyone. I'm sure it affected you more than others because you were a lot closer to him, training him. You're kind of the guy who took him under your umbrella, especially having your background, which was a bit of a risk, I would say, especially at the time. Kimbo's this backyard fighter, and people were kind of like, no one took him serious. But once he linked up with you, that was you kind of co-signed on him being an actual mixed martial artist.
It was in the beginning, but the thing with him was, and Sean Tompkins, who was also passed away now. He because I was gone for the World Series of Fight. I was doing something for 4 weeks or 3 weeks, so I called Sean right away. I say, Sean, why don't you take him for 3 weeks? And then when I come back, we'll send him to my place, and then we go start training there. So together we start building him. Then we got Randy Katami, who's one of the boxing coaches and one of the partners for my gym as well. He's a really good boxing instructor. And I told him also, I said, listen, I don't have the time to do this 2 times a day. Why don't you take him like in the morning, whatever, what I can, and then I'll do the other time. So we can train him 2 times a day, both of us. We're there 100% for Kimbo. So no, and the pressure was not that big because, again, you meet him. You meet these guys. With Kimbo, once you meet Kimbo, you talk to him, that's it. You're his buddy, and everybody had that. Even on The Ultimate Fighter, they were saying,
we all love
man, it is so weird. You think he's a different guy, but he's not. He's a really good dude. Not at all. Yeah.
And so when he passed away, was it hard on you?
It was hard, because, you spend a lot of time with this guy, and a stupid thing like that. It was the same as with Randleman. I mean, pneumonia.
It's crazy.
And then he's got his heart, but he was still fighting, and he still wanted to fight Kimbo. And it was the weirdest thing. There's something in your mind that it doesn't get it. You think, that's not true. When you hear first a rumor, you go, that's not true. I didn't even go on the internet when I heard it because I thought, that's no way.
It's like Superman. When they killed him in the comic, you're like, that's some bullshit.
Yeah, who does that? Yeah.
Like with Kimbo, I was like, that can't be real. People, hey, your boy Kimbo, or I think Matt Mitrione texted me or tweeted me. I'm like, don't believe everything you hear. Like, I didn't believe it, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not real.
Yeah, but that's what it is because you see the guy. It's him. It's the tough guy. And, Fisher yourself, Randleman, the same with him. How many crazy accidents? I mean, he had an accident where he ripped the whole part of his skull off. It was under an SUV, under the engine part. He was laying under there. Apparently, what people say who were at the scene, he just bench pressed the freaking car off of him.
Talk about a freak.
Yeah,
Talk about a freak. Well, remember when he got staph?
That was the weirdest thing.
It literally looked like a shark bit his side off.
You know what I said to people? Those little containers that hold tobacco.
Yeah,
right?
The chew.
Yeah, you could have put that all the way in there, And if you would have put tape on it, you could not tell. That's how big that hole was. People have no clue. There was a hole this big and this thick. It was the craziest thing. Together with Uriah Faber's leg after he fought Aldo. Did you ever see that picture?
Yes. It's nuts, man.
It's black and blue. It doesn't even look like a leg.
No. Yeah, and with it's just with Randleman, with Kimbo, it is just, those guys are bigger than life, and it was hard to believe for me. Both of them. I didn't know. I met Randleman a few times, but, Kimbo and I were a lot closer, and we were obviously on the show together, went through that. Then we'd talk every now and then, just kind of, catch up. But it never seemed real, man. Even now, when Spike asked me to do his tribute show, I really didn't deal with it. I was just like, God damn, that's a bummer. But I was so busy. I'm doing these shows. I'm doing all this stuff. And then I sat down and I started talking about him. Dude, I broke down. It was the first time they're asking me these questions. I just broke down.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't put this on. I didn't watch it. I don't know if they put it on there. Like, please don't put this on there.
Yeah. Well, it's good. That means it shows also that he's loved.
Yeah.
And then people know it's real.
Yep.
Because there's still some people out there who say, yeah, they will say he's a nice guy, but it's like McGregor. You meet McGregor, you go like, wow, he's a really good guy. But it's a complete different person on air. Only Kimbo didn't have that. Kimbo was never really that guy on air.
Ever.
He just had that persona.
He just looked like
people were afraid of him.
Yeah, they assumed it.
Yeah.
And I'm a victim of that too on YouTube. You see him like, this backyard brawler. But he never said anything. He never acted that way. Like, there's no reason why we should just judge a book by the cover, because he didn't give you any reason.
Yeah. You know what he used to do before fights? He watched video of tigers fighting each other, and a tiger fights a panda, and like these animals, big animals trying to slaughter each other. That was
so random, man.
Yeah, that was his way. Instead of watching Rocky, he would watch that.
Oh man, I don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole and end on a sad note. But if you're Conor McGregor's, let's say you're Conor McGregor's manager, and you have Floyd Mayweather, and then you look at the fights he has in the UFC at 155 and 170, what would you do? From day one, and I'm not saying I'm the only guy to do this, but I said, if I'm his manager, we obviously take the Floyd fight. It's the most money, the most publicity, the less dangerous fight. Because you look at his matchups at 55, even in 70, but especially 55 with Khabib, Tony Ferguson, they're not ideal for the guy.
No. They're very hard fight. Well, Khabib, we're going to have to see if he comes back at 155.
He has to.
I mean, but a guy like that, when they decide to go to a hospital, this guy wrestles with bears when he was like freaking 6 or 8 years old.
Grew up in rough conditions.
Something is really wrong.
Yes.
They say he came very close of having his kidneys shut down. So that means you're going very close to dying.
Now, but that would be a weight cut issue, right?
Yep.
And to me, did he not do the necessary steps in camp and then try cutting all this weight the week of the fight? Because that's usually when you have liver failure and the organs start to shut down. It's usually this drastic cut right away instead of slowly inching into it.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out now. He needs a good nutritionist. That's what we do need. Somebody that really has his eyes on him. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if they will do that in Russia. Yeah, they will, right? I mean,
that's what I said. Like, we're the nutritionist. Someone tweeted at me, "Oh, he works with this guy. We'll fire him because he needs to get with a legit nutritionist so this doesn't happen."
Ivan Drago. He looked really good. I guess
jacked.
You had a nutritionist.
Get with that guy, man. Get whoever he's working with. Don't take those supplements, though. Whatever supplements he was on, don't take those.
No, you cannot do that.
No, you can't.
It's simple. Everything he hits, he destroys. A normal heavyweight boxer hits about 800 pounds.
Yeah. Do you like the new kind of regulations that the UFC's incorporated with the USADA and all that, and the 365 days a year testing, and guys are tested positive for caffeine these days, and just it's so strict.
It's so stupid. Also, what I can understand why it is that the plasma that they can find out if you had an IV or not. That is a weird thing. I would say they should have kind of left it in. When BJ couldn't find because he used that after a workout. I go, really? That's silly. Not even. Yeah, I can understand the day after. You're cutting weight, that you don't want to have it, but during training, why not? Let him do it. But, it's all for the better of the fighters. I truly believe so. And I think once guys get it out of their head that it's not about weight. What about in the beginning when we fought all weight class? I fought in Japan. There was no weight classes.
Yeah.
You know, you just fought everybody. Oh, this guy's 260 pounds. Well, you're going to have to fight him. You know, it is what everybody does it. I mean, and I'm 200 pounds, 205. But then you have other guys who are like 180, and they have to fight that guy as well.
Yeah.
You see, so... And then, of course, that was early in the stage, early in mixed martial arts, when, you know, you still could get away with it because, you know, I would have just better stamina or better technique than these big guys. You know, but now these big guys, they're black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They got stamina, you know.
Monsters.
Now a monster like that who cuts down to 265, so on the day of the fight, it's probably 280, you know. And if you are 215 pounds, that's a problem.
A big problem.
Yeah, you got 70 pounds on top of you. That's a hard thing.
It's cleaning up the sport for sure. And I think what's interesting, and obviously you're close with him and you're a fan of him, but Alistair Overeem, who, you know, he's had his issues with PEDs and stuff like that. And he's been caught, and he was Ubereem for a long time. When he fought Brock Lesnar, is probably the scariest fighter I think to ever grace the octagon.
Yeah.
He was the only time when I was still in the UFC, and I went, I don't know how the hell I'd beat that guy. He's ginormous. He has the skills to back it up. K1 striking. I don't know what the hell we're going to do.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. So, you know, but he's had his issues with PEDs. But now we see Alistair Overeem. He's kind of had this resurgence in his career where he obviously can't take PEDs, but he's using his technique now. You see him use a lot more footwork. You see him using a lot more technique with his game plan, stuff like that. Especially being older, I think it's kind of helped a guy like that.
I always said it. You know, I remember a long time ago that, you know, because he wasn't choosing, he fought, I think, Brett Rogers maybe at the time, and he was 6 pounds lighter than he normally was, and it was he didn't feel good about that fact. And I go, dude, you're way faster now. You're more relaxed. You know, everything will be way better. And yeah, he knocked him out. Rogers didn't have a chance. You know, so they need to see the other side, I think. But if you're in that mind frame the whole time, at the time when he became huge, right? I mean, body-wise, huge. He never lost. He won the K1. He won everything. So for some fighters, they start attaching to. They say, okay, but well, the steroids help me to come here. And once they can let go of that, and they say it was not that, it was just my hard work that did it, then you'll be fine. But I think for a lot of these fighters, once they were really big and were using a lot of steroids, and then suddenly when they go down, and winning, you know, that's the most important thing. If they win with it and then suddenly they're off, they always think, maybe I won the fights because of the steroids. I was stronger, but it's not.
Yeah, it's almost a handicap because with Overeem, he has the skills.
Look at him now.
You look at his wrestling, his ground game. People forget how good of a grappler he is, and obviously striking. I mean, there's an argument that he's the best heavyweight striker of all time to enter the UFC.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
He's up there. He has the credentials.
Yep.
But when he was, juicing, you wouldn't see it. He would just headhunt, and he's just relentless.
You know, if you stand in front of a guy like that, you know, and his chest is
Oh my
there, you
God.
know, and it's huge. You know, and he was just so strong. I mean, if you see, he did these strongman competitions in Holland, like lifting cars and doing crazy stuff. I believe they were running at 75 kilos. I don't even know in pounds. That will be like 120 pounds in each hand. And then he has to run like 50 meters, which is about 50 yards, a little bit further, and come back. But like 2 suitcases. But just imagine 150 kilogram suitcase. How much that is? It's an insane. That's more than me.
It's like 300. Was it like 300 pounds? Damn near.
Yeah. Oh no. In both 75 kilos. It's 105 kilos.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, both. So then but that's carrying me spread out more than me.
Yeah.
Spread out over 2 hands, and then you're going to have to run with it, and he just ran with it. You know. So yeah, he's incredibly strong, gifted athlete, great striker, and like you said, his ground game is very underrated.
Very underrated. We don't see a lot of
guys.
Which I thought in his last fight with Mark Hunt, which was a rematch, he submitted him in the first one, which I think you commented
really weird
on,
armbar,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, armbar against Mark Hunt. This time I thought, man, if I'm Alistair Overeem's camp, I'm probably going to go for the same. I'm probably going to take him down because, you know, it's Mark Hunt's kind of weakness.
Yep.
Why sit there and bang with him? And then we find out that Alistair Overeem going that fight he had a flu or food poisoning or something. He was terribly sick, and he looked damn good,
He
man.
looked good. It's what I'm saying, man. Once you get off that crap, it makes you more calm. Your muscles are more relaxed. Like I did it for my neck. You know, I had 4 neck surgeries. And they say, "Oh, should I try? You know, steroids?" With the doctor, and he goes, "Yeah, you can try if you want to try. You see if it happens with the recouping of your arm. If you want to start training." For me, My blood pressure went up. My heart rate went up. I was sweating. I just didn't feel good with it. It was so tight the whole time. Everything was really tight. So I said, nah, it doesn't really work for me. I tried everything out. Like actually right now I'm trying Deca, but they tell me for my knees, they say it can regrow cartilage. And I go, can it regrow cartilage? Yeah. So I started looking it up, and it's true. People
Really?
say it can do that. But they want you to use an amount that I just don't want to use. You know, it's between 700 and 1,100 milligrams a week, which is, I don't. I refuse
that's
to
a
do
lot?
it. That's a lot. I use 100, you know, and it's what women use. Women who are on cycles.
What about like a stem cell or PRP on your
Did
knees?
everything. I went to Panama for stem cells, for my neck, for my knees, for everything. There is something now that they can do, but a buddy of mine did it first, and I'm going to let him be...
You're going to have him the guinea pig?
Yeah, because the thing is this. They're going to have to... the kneecap is a weird thing. They're going to... Right now, they have to drill a hole, put a Teflon plate on the other side. Once you drill a hole through the kneecap, it becomes 35% weaker. So if I would land on my knee and it breaks, you're done. That's why what the Alatrash here, this famous knee surgeon here at Cullen Job, he told me that's why the mafiosos break your kneecaps. He says, because you cannot fix it. I thought when I heard I had no cartilage on my kneecaps, this is the easiest problem. They're going to fix this. It's the worst problem we need to have. They can't fix it. It's the only thing they cannot fix. Now they have something where because they cannot take the kneecap out and put it back in. It's in a tendon. So it's a very hard thing to do. Elatrash, you know what he told me? He told me, well, this is 8 years ago. He said, well, there's something we can do. We can bring your shin bone forward, and it will take the pressure off the kneecap.
Oh, my God.
And I go, okay. So how does that work? He says, you got to be like 3-4 months in a cast, about 4 months rehab. I go, on both legs. Yeah. You're out of your freaking mind.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll just deal with this pain.
No, thank you.
Do you have a lot of injuries you're dealing with now, boss? Because just the knees.
Just the knees that hurts. Like when you will always see me pushing up, walking stairs, down, up. That hurts. But I can do anything. Incline running I do. And the incline running I do because I land on the balls of my feet. And I don't have to land on my heel. So I just go up and I do these hill sprints the whole time.
Is there anything particular that caused your knees to get... Obviously, all the years of fighting, was there one case that did it? You were born with a condition, though, correct?
No, I was born with the tendonitis. That tendonitis really stopped my career. It was not the kneecaps. That became in my last fight really... They came on strong. But before it was tendonitis. And I realized that when I was doing track and field when I was young, I had already tendonitis. I remember that pain. I had it from javelin or shot put. You know, if I would explode a few times really hard, I would get this pain and it wouldn't go away for like a week. But that's okay because you just you throw it and then you don't do anything for a week. Yeah, when you go train. But if you're before a fight and 4 weeks out, the tendonitis starts, that means that every single workout you're going to be, it's a pain that you cannot, there's nothing like it.
You don't get used to it.
It's an incredible pain. It comes from the inside. It goes out. I would lose weight because I couldn't eat from the pain. Every day, you know, it's miserable. Training becomes miserable. You have 45 minutes. For some reason, it's 45 minutes you can work out. So you make those count, and that's it. That's your workout. Because once it hits, better go home, take pain pills, and you can't take Vicodin. You can't take all that stuff. So you try to stock up on all the other crap, which is not working. There was pretty much nothing that I could do.
What about dieting? Does dieting help with any of that?
No, I never. You know, at the time, I never dieted. I never fought in a weight class. The only time I had to gain weight at the UFC for the world title against Kevin, I literally was too light because that's when they created the heavyweights division, which was at the time 200 pounds and under. That was, I think they call it light heavy, or middle even. And then 200 pounds and over was heavyweight. I was 197, and with my clothes on. And they said, well, you can fight, but it's not going to be for the title. I said, oh, give me one moment. And my buddies were drinking waters. I said, give me these waters. So I started slugging down all their waters, and I made 203.
Jesus.
So I
made the
title fight. Yeah.
And that's how the heavyweight division got.
That's how it got started. I'm actually the first UFC heavyweight champion. I didn't know that for 4 years when I was it.
Really? I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew you were the first heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I had no clue because that's when they created the heavyweight division.
That's pretty cool.
Weird, right? Yeah.
And then 22-time world champion. Yeah.
22.
So with all your knowledge, obviously, on fitness and conditioning and freaking, with your knees and that you've started this kind of the first I've seen of it. I've always made fun of those O2 masks.
Yeah.
Those O2 masks. People, the DM me or the tweet me like, Shab, what do you think this O2 mask? What do you think about? And I go, well, one, you look like an asshole in the gym wearing that.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get chicks, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
2, you look like Bane. 3, those things do not work. I hate to tell you, they just don't work. And we had a guy when I was in the UFC. He would go to the UFC fighter summits in Vegas. And the fighters could ask this doctor all these questions. And at the time, this is probably 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was Uriah Faber. He's getting into it, and he goes, I think he was selling them or he was somehow incorporating them. He goes, can you talk about the training mask, like hoping it would go well? The doctor goes, from our research, it's all bullshit. And he goes, well, no, I don't. And because he gave a bunch of guys those. And he goes, no, I'm telling you, they don't work. Yeah. And ever since then, and, talking to some of my old strength and condition coaches, like, yeah, they're bullshit, man. They're not good for you.
I had so much backlash in the beginning because first of all, the way I came up with it is because of my track and field. I was an asthma patient. I had severe asthma attacks, like 7 to 8 days in bed, not even able to eat because I couldn't breathe. Like if you're 24 hours a day. So that's a real asthma attack. Some people, they go to me, oh, my asthma is acting up. I got to stop talking. That's
not real.
Asthma,
yeah, I'll show you asthma.
This is real. But after, when I had the attack, I would resume track and field and I would break my running times. And I could not phantom what it was. I said, why is that? Is it the medication I'm taking? Because you get a lot of cortisone, maybe it's that. I don't know what it was. And then I went to the doctor's office because I had to go every week because they were teaching me how to breathe correctly, because of every asthma patient goes through that. And I saw a poster, a drawing in a frame at the doctor's office, and there was a pair of lungs. And you think as a kid, and even adults, a lung infection, you think it's in your lungs, in the bags, but it's not. It's the air pipes that go to the lungs, to the bags, they are infected. Now, normally it's open like this, and now suddenly it's squeezed. I saw that on the picture, and that was when I was 14 years old. I go, oh, man, I've been working my lungs out for a week, 7, 8 days. I've been pulling air in through that infected area. I needed all the power to pull that air in. And so now when the infection is gone, my lungs are stronger. It's much easier for me to breathe in. So why don't I come up with something that can control the air intake? And that was this. Now, I had a patent right away because all the other products out there, they control the air in and out, which is a bad thing, which I already said, because imagine if you're working out or if you're training with this thing and you can completely exhale. If it's with resistance, you cannot completely exhale. Yeah. That means you start breathing shallow because you need new air. That's why you need to breathe in. So I said, no, I don't want to have resistance while breathing out. So you can completely empty your lungs and then use your whole inspiratory system to get the air in. So that makes it much stronger. So all the backlash, everybody was laughing about it when they, did a product review for, like, for instance, training measure. And they had the O2 trainer on the side. This thing doesn't even have resistance breathing out. Now they're all shooting themselves in the head or in the foot, whatever they want to do, because I was right.
Yeah.
So what happened was they had this guy, Chapman Sia. He's a scientist. He trains Usain Bolt. He trains 3 gold medalists in track and field for the Olympics, the last Olympics. He takes Marlon Esparza, a silver medalist. He trains a whole bunch of guys.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing. This guy has a higher IQ than Einstein had. Everybody's the most sought out guy, after guy there is. And he wrote a review about a training mask. And that's how this whole thing started with me. And my manager calls me and he says, hey, did you read that review? I said, what? It's about the guy did about the training mask. I said, well, I guess it's not a great review then, right? And he said, no, it's not. I said, do me a favor, call that guy, try to contact him and see if I can send him a note to a trainer. And he called him and he mentioned the name Bas Rutten. He goes, oh, we're already doing that. And I go, oh, okay, now I want to team up with this guy because if he trains 3 gold medalists, including Usain Bolt. So that's how the thing started. And now we're working together. And now it's just for me, it's hard. I want to do everything myself. I put so much money in this. I want to do everything myself. The patents cost me an arm and a leg. I got worldwide patents everywhere. It's a lot of money. The renew patents, you need a continuation patent because you want to come up with different ideas. That's kind of the same because otherwise somebody else is going to do it. You see what I mean? So you got to keep that open the whole time. Pay. And I want to have 20,000 in stock. And once I have that, I'm going to go on like a Dr. Oz show or I'm going to do an infomercial. I'm going to get Chad on, the scientist, and I'm going to get him. He has 18 medical journals published that are out there where it's 100% proven. This is not medically tested or clinically tested. This is clinically proven. Whenever they say, when you buy something and they say, oh, it's clinically tested, you go like, don't buy it, because there's a reason they say tested. What was the result of that test?
Yeah.
That's what you should ask. It sounds cool when you read it, but you say, no, what was the result? Oh, it didn't do well. Well, they don't say that, of course. So don't fall for that. Go for the clinically proven products. And this is clinically proven. He says these are 18 medical journals I brought out. He says, but I can get you 800 of those journals. It's all about inspiratory training. And thankfully, I tapped in that. That's why I have the patent. And it cured my asthma within 2 weeks. And I said it to my buddy in Holland who has asthma, because I knew him also. And I said, listen, train with this thing. 8 days later, he calls me, says, dude, I want to sell it. My asthma's gone. So then I started going on. I have the sax player from the Eagles. You know, he longer, stronger notes. SAS, people from the SAS, Special Air Force Services from the UK, you know, who are probably better than the Mossad. These guys are really good, elite military guys. And they all started telling, hey, man, this thing really works. And the great thing about this is also it will force you to breathe the correct way. A lot of people breathe with the shoulders up. Mm-hmm. This you can't do. If I put a little tiny hole on that screen, you're going to have to use your core in order to pull the air in. You can't pull it in like this. Mm-hmm. So once you realize, wait a minute, that was the guy from SWAT, the SWAT team here. George Ryan, he was training with it one day, and the next day he went on a run without it. And he said, boss, I broke my running time. And he says, I know, it's the dumbest thing, what I'm saying right now, because after just one time, what was the difference? He says, then I realized it forces you to breathe the correct way. And the next day when I was running, I was using my diaphragm to breathe. And that's why I was running better. So it's not only strengthening everything, but it's also teaching you how to breathe the correct
cool,
way.
Man.
Yeah.
So you're going to wait till you get 20,000 units, you said?
That's when I want to go on TV. Right now, because the last time I talked to Joe was asking me about it, and I sold out the next day. And selling out is not a good thing. You know, if a lot of people are watching, you know, people start talking. So I don't want to have that problem. And there's people who say, oh, I invest $200,000, but then, what I'm going to pay you 40%.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I built this for 5 years. I put a lot of money, $250,000, $300,000 in this whole thing. You know, I want to see if I can do it myself.
Do it yourself. So how I mean, if people are looking for them, they can buy them now.
Yeah, o2trainer.com. It just goes to the website. We're doing it right now, our own. My wife is doing it, the whole thing, and she's busy all day long. You know, it's the O2 trainers, and of course, once it gets big, we outsource it. And
man, that's pretty awesome.
It's a cool thing is the new guy, the scientist, Chad said they use it different. They wake up, I train with it, and it cured me from my asthma. And he says, no, that's good, you can do it, but you don't need to. He says, what you need to do is get the smaller holes, the screens. It starts with it's a very simple concept. When you breathe in, one side has a flap. It closes, so it forces you to breathe into the other side. And that comes with interchangeable caps from 15 millimeter all the way to 1 millimeter. So 1 millimeter smaller every time. So what I say is just you start working out your normal runs with the cap that goes on the O2 trainer that comes with it. And if you say, oh, you know, I kind of feel that I have the same amount of air that I normally have on a run, I say, okay, go to cap number 1, put cap number 1 on. And once you start feeling again that your lungs pulling in the same amount of air that it did before, you go to cap number 2. And this is the trick with this thing. It needs to be baby steps. We are wired different.
Yeah.
We think, so
more is better.
We want to go to cap 10 right away because that's the hardest thing.
Yes.
No, who did that? Who did that?
Yeah.
Did somebody do it to cap 10? I want to do cap 10.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because you're depriving yourself from air, which is a very bad thing. That's why a lot of fighters nowadays, they don't train at high altitude anymore because it makes the workout less productive because your mind slows down. That's where accidents happen, you know, especially in fighting. It's a very dangerous thing. What they do now, they build a high altitude home at sea level. So what they do, the people, they go out, they train sea level, but they go back in the home and they live in that home. They live there, sleep there, eat there, do everything there, and that's a high altitude home, and that sparks the red blood cell count. So what Chad told me to do is put it on screen like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 4 or 5 screens that are for breathing exercises. And he says you just put it in your mouth, you breathe out completely, you lean forward, so you press all the air out, and you go... You breathe in, and you repeat that 30 times. That's the only thing you need to do 1 time a day. Now, if you're a fighter, he says do it for 6 weeks, 2 times a day. It will take care, and this is the biggest thing that this thing does, it will take care of all the lactic acid in your core. And you know as well as I do, that's why people get tired. People don't have an idea. The reason guys get tired is the wrestling part, the bending, because the muscles start bloating up. I always tell people, If you do biceps, your biceps start pumping up. If you defend the takedown the whole time, your core starts pumping up. And guess what's behind your core? Is your lungs. Mm-hmm. So if the core muscles get bigger, they stop your lungs from increasing fully, because now they can't do it anymore because your muscles, your abs, and your core are pushing it back. Now, if you train with this and you take care of that lactic acid, it stays relaxed. And that's why the results are, for what I understand, it's even better than you can get with EPO. So, I mean, you get a legal way to do something right. Do it. Use this.
Well, I love it, man. I love what you're doing. You know, I always support you, boss. It's o2trainer.com. You have enough if people want to go there now to get them, but you're waiting to do the whole national campaign to get 20,000 units.
That's what I want to do. You know, I want to wait so people, when they order them, you know, we order products in the past, you know, with Christmas, and then they don't come in for the next 4 weeks. Yeah. You know, you kind of don't want to go back to that company, you know, and if that happens once, I have a whole list of inventions. And I don't want to have the next invention that I'm going to come with that they say, oh, is that guy again? No, I'm not even going to take a look at it. So I'm just going to wait till this goes, and then I go up to the next invention.
Well, good luck with everything, brother. You know we support you here.
Thank you.
It's o2trainer.com. Bas Rutten, everyone. The first UFC heavyweight champ, the 22-time Pancreas World Champion, Bas Rutten. Thanks for coming on, brother.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
That was great, man.
All right.
Man, Bas Rutten, one of my faves, guys. I've been trying to get on the show for a little bit now. My schedule and his schedule, we kept canceling, rescheduling each other, and finally we made it happen. He's one of the best personalities in the sport, and he also just happens to be one of the best fighters of all time. He's on my Mount Rushmore. Hey, man, you might have 4 on yours. That's lame. That's amateur hour. Mine has about 50 guys on it. I do need to go my official Mount Rushmore one of these days, which I will do on one of these episodes, but not now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We're going to keep them coming. We got a lot of cool guests lined up. You might even see some bonus episodes where we're doing more than one a week. So this should be fun. I always appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe. If you're listening to us now, it's a new channel. It's not on Fighter Kid anymore. It's its own identity now. It's its own channel. The Big Brown Breakdown on iTunes. Search for it. Search Brendan Schaub. You will find it. Subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Tell your girlfriend's friends. Brother, sister, dad, stepmom, cousins, grandma to subscribe right now on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. We're on everything, man. If you can't find us, then you don't know how to use an iPhone or a Cricket. You don't know how to use a Cricket. Android. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And last but not least, the Big Brown Breakdown is linking up with HBO Sports, and we're bringing the first live Big Brown Breakdown for Canelo Alvarez Chavez fight in Las Vegas. Chin and myself will be there live in the flesh, breaking down the big UFC. Also a week later, it will be a huge weekend, Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas at the Hard Rock Casino. We are doing the live show. Big Brown hitting Vegas. Brown in the Chin, Vegas, baby. Tickets, while you guys listen to this, should be live. If not, in the next day or two. I'm just waiting on Hard Rock to release these tickets. They're going to go fast. That bitch is going to sell out. Cinco de Mayo weekend, Big Brown Breakdown. Canelo, Chavez, that big-ass UFC card will be the following week. We got a lot to talk about. I'm bringing heat. Chin's bringing heat. The Big Brown Breakdown, Vegas, baby. Hard Rock, Cinco de Mayo. Any other brain busters? Appreciate you guys listening. Bigger, browner, badder. Bigger, browner, badder. I'm Brendan Schaub. Thanks for listening.